Chapter 366. His fifth granduncle had been refining magic tools in seclusion for many years, and he didn't know what he had achieved. It was a good opportunity for them to test each other. In order to prevent him from disturbing his fifth granduncle at the critical moment of his seclusion, it was better to send a message first. After the message was sent, his fifth granduncle quickly replied that they could spar. After Wang Daoyuan entered his fifth granduncle's cave, he activated all the restrictions in the cave and said with a smile, "Good lad, I didn't expect you to open your purple mansion earlier than Shui. I heard that you also have a 5 elements divine beast avatar. You're much more talented than me. When you first entered the family, I was already in the middle stage of the foundation establishment realm. Now that your cultivation has caught up with mine, I'm afraid you're already stronger than me." After he finished speaking, he lifted the bed and revealed a stone slab. There was a cave under it, and the two of them went down. There was a very spacious stone room below. The stone room was 300 feet long and 100 feet wide. There was a defensive formation set up with a formation disc. Wang Daoyuan asked curiously, "Why does our family have such a big underground building? I really didn't know." His fifth granduncle was a little surprised. Foundation establishment realm cultivators are used to digging a stone room underground to cultivate magic arts. Mine was enlarged after I opened my purple mansion. Wang Daoyuan was stunned and asked, "Is it always like this? I've never dug a stone room to cultivate magic arts." "Then where do you usually cultivate magic arts?" "Heaven/mountain range. It's more spacious there. I can cultivate magic arts and kill demonic beasts while I'm at it," Wang Daoyuan answered without hesitation. His fifth granduncle was silent for a while and said, "Your way of doing things is the same as our ancestor. He often went deep into the heaven/mountain range to kill demonic beasts and use them to cultivate magic arts. After forming his golden core, he often went to find 4th-rank demonic beasts to spar with. However, there aren't many people who have this ability. Forget it, let's not talk about this. Let's spar." After he finished speaking, his fifth granduncle summoned a black long sword. There was a black dragon carving on the sword. It was exactly the same as the mysterious dragon sea-flipping sword left behind by the ancestor in the secret treasury, but its spiritual power was much weaker. Wang Daoyuan also summoned the black tortoise shield. The shield was nearly rectangular, 3 feet long and 1 foot wide. The entire shield was pitch black, and there was a black tortoise carving on the surface of the shield. He infused his spiritual energy into the black tortoise shield, and a 10-meter tall and 10-meter wide phantom shield appeared out of thin air. Fifth great uncle also swung his long sword, and a sword shadow slashed at the shield shadow. The shadow of the shield gently swayed a few times and completely neutralized the power of the sword. Wang Daoyuan Redbeard injected spiritual power into the shield. Fifth grandpa continuously struck out several long sword shadows, but he could not break the shield shadow. Fifth great uncle shouted, "Daoyuan, be careful. I'm going to use the ultimate move of the profound dragon sea-flipping sword." With that, he held the sword with both hands, and the dragon carving on the sword seemed to come alive. The shadow of a black dragon more than 30 meters long flew out from the long sword. Wang Daoyuan also activated the black tortoise shield with all his might, and a 7-meter-long black tortoise phantom appeared above his head. The black dragon phantom pounced over and engaged in a fierce battle with the black tortoise phantom. Water-type spiritual power was actually both offensive and defensive, and it was also very versatile. However, to display its power, one needed to have extremely dense spiritual power. Among water-type cultivators, there was a huge difference in strength between those with high and low innate talent. Water-type cultivators with insufficient innate talent and insufficient spiritual power were known as the worst cultivators in fights of magical power, along with wood-type cultivators. If one had high innate talent and sufficient spiritual power, their water-type magical power would undergo a qualitative change, and they could even surpass metal-type and fire-type cultivators of the same rank. For example, a genius like the Wang clan's ancestor could instantly kill an enemy of a higher rank. Fifth great-uncle's innate talent was above average, and could be considered quite good, but it was not to the extent that he could make water-type magical power undergo a qualitative change. Therefore, the attack power of his black dragon phantom was just so, and it could not penetrate the black tortoise's defense. After the stalemate lasted for half a cup of tea's time, fifth great-uncle withdrew the black dragon phantom. In general, the two could be considered to be evenly matched. After all, it was a spar, and they could not directly use their life-bound magic tools, or else both sides would be injured. Summoning a phantom was already the strongest move aside from the clash of magic tools. Fifth great-uncle was a little disappointed, and said, "I've been blood bonding with the profound dragon sea-turner sword for decades, and you've only been blood bonding with this shield for a few years. Now, I can't even win if we fight with our life-bound magic tools." Wang Daoyuan smiled, "Fifth great-uncle, forgive me for being blunt, but your progress in blood bonding with magic tools is slow because the profound dragon sea-turner sword is not suitable for you. For cultivators with purple palace anomalies, it's best to combine their life-bound magic tools with their purple palace anomalies. When I was blood bonding, I used my purple palace anomalies to comprehend the black tortoise's charm, so my progress was naturally very fast. If I were to blood bond with a life-bound magic tool unrelated to the 5 elements divine beasts, my progress would be much slower than yours. The profound dragon sea-turner sword was created by the ancestor based on his own purple palace anomalies, while yours is a dragonfish. Although dragonfish is also a water-type dragon, there is still a big difference between it and a water dragon. The power of the profound dragon sea-turner sword naturally far surpassed that of ordinary life-bound magic tools. However, the progress of blood bonding is too slow, and it will delay your cultivation. Rather than that, you might as well use the profound dragon sea-turner sword as a reference and create your own life-bound magic tool. A life-bound magic tool that is more suitable for you will not necessarily be much weaker than the profound dragon sea-turner sword. In addition, the blood bonding speed is fast, so it won't delay your cultivation time. When your cultivation increases, your strength will naturally not be weak. Hearing this, fifth great-uncle fell into deep thought. After a long time, he nodded slightly and said, "You're right. I've always wanted to increase my strength as quickly as possible to shelter the clan from the wind and rain. I was too obsessed with the power of the profound dragon sea-turner sword. Forget it, now that you're stronger than me, I don't need to rush to increase my strength. I'll go to the dragonfish's corpse and go into seclusion, hoping to create the most suitable life-bound magic tool for myself." The two of them left the underground stone chamber, and fifth great-uncle went into seclusion. Wang Daoyuan returned to his cave abode and sighed softly, "Sigh, the 2 pillars of the clan have been dealt such a blow that they went into seclusion." He took out the prairie fire sword and the glazed flame dark iron shield, and claimed ownership of the 2 magic tools. When fighting with others, he could not take out his life-bound magic tools so easily. Moreover, the black tortoise shield's attack method was to create a black tortoise phantom to beat people up. With the black tortoise phantom's speed, it could not hit people at all. Therefore, the black tortoise shield's attack ability was terrible. Before refining the white tiger blade, he still had to rely on spells to attack. Now that he had made all the preparations, it was time to find trouble with Scarlet Fox. He was almost pierced through the heart by a sword, so he had to ask for compensation. It would be best if he could compensate with a piece of yin-yang purple jade. He left Jade Spring Peak on his sword and headed for Fallen Dragon Ridge. From Fallen Dragon Ridge, he circled to the north of the mountain and headed to Wild Goose Market. After opening up his purple mansion, his divine sense cultivation had increased greatly. His panoramic perception and control range of his clone had also reached 500 kilometers. After entering the 500 kilometers of Wild Goose Market, Wang Daoyuan began to sense the situation of his clone. Bai Sheng was still safe and sound. In the few years that Wang Daoyuan was away, he did not step out of the house and refined weapons diligently. There were no problems. Lu Zong's side aroused Scarlet Fox's suspicion. After all, he was recruited by Wu Yi from outside. If there was something wrong with Wu Yi, he was also a major suspect. He was interrogated by Scarlet Fox many times. However, he had always pretended to be dumb and Scarlet Fox did not dare to use force. 2 of his 3 stewards were dead and this was the only one left. He could not get rid of this one as well. If all the stewards were gone, there would be no one who could shoulder the burden and the mystic Martin would have a chance to turn the tables. What shocked Wang Daoyuan the most was that Wu Yi was still alive. According to Wu Yi's memories, after Scarlet Fox healed him, she used the interrogation talisman many times to interrogate him. However, she could not get anything out of him. Scarlet Fox even used a secret technique to check on Wu Yi's soul and discovered that his soul was abnormal. However, she did not know what the problem was. She was not on good terms with Blood Shadow's headquarters and could not invite a Golden Core cultivator to help. She could only put Wu Yi under house arrest first. Chapter 367. Wang Daoyuan suppressed his cultivation to Peak Foundation establishment and changed his appearance to Wu Chuan's as he returned to the Wu clan's weapon workshop. For the next few days, he stayed in the Wu clan's weapon workshop. 7 days later, Scarlet Fox arrived at Wu Yi's cave abode. She stared at Wu Yi for a long time before saying, "You're different today. Is that thief who escaped after being struck by my sword back?" Wang Daoyuan was shocked. There was a difference in performance when the clone was not under his control. However, under the circumstances where he was not controlling the clone, the difference was extremely minute. It was just that he seemed more confident and there were slight changes in his mental appearance. To think that she could even notice such a small change, this woman's observation skills were way too terrifying. Wang Daoyuan pretended not to hear and did not control the clone either. Wu Yi's clone continued to remain silent like before. Scarlet Fox continued, "Do you think that I won't be able to guess who you are just because you refuse to admit it? The last time you fought with me, you used the Earth Divine Thunder and Heaven Burning Divine Fire. According to Blood Shadow's intelligence, those 2 dermic arts are in the hands of perfected Lei Yan. The Divine Weapon Pavilion is at the edge of the southern wilderness and is hundreds of thousands of miles away from the Shanbei Mountains. Why would you come here if you wanted to find trouble with Blood Shadow? Furthermore, the Divine Weapon Pavilion has never taken the initiative to provoke other factions, so you can't be from there. Someone who is close to the Shanbei Mountains and knows those 2 dermic arts is most likely from the Wang family. Furthermore, you used dermic arts of the 3 attributes of earth, fire and water one after another that day. Later on, the flying sword that blocked my destiny dermic weapon was of the metal attribute as well. You have spirit energy of 4 attributes and your cultivation technique is not weak either. I've truly never heard of there being a 4-attribute cultivation technique in this world. Therefore, you must be cultivating a 5-element cultivation technique. It's true that a penta-spirit root is powerful, but it's not easy to cultivate in the early stages and there are very few factions that are willing to nurture penta-spirit roots. There are very few penta-spirit roots foundation establishment cultivators in Beiyuan Xiaofan to begin with. Those who can kill a grade 3 refined corpse and escape from my hands at peak foundation establishment can be counted on one hand. Possessing penta-spirit veins with such strength and being related to Taoist Lei Yan, who else could it be other than Wang Daoyuan? Wu Yi's clone didn't have any memories of Wang Daoyuan's true identity, so he didn't have any reaction to Crimson Fox's words. When Crimson Fox saw that Wu Yi remained unmoved, he continued, "I don't know when you took control of Wu Yi, but you ought to know quite a bit about Blood Shadow. He should also know what kind of existence Blood Wolf was. If he knew the name of Blood Shadow, he would be hunted down by them. People like you who infiltrated Blood Shadow and obtained a large amount of information about Blood Shadow. It was unlikely that the headquarters would send out a Golden Core cultivator, but it was normal for them to send out a few dozen Violet Palace disciples. I wonder how many Zifu disciples your Wang clan can withstand. I don't have evidence, but Blood Shadow doesn't need evidence to kill people. There are many people who want to exterminate the Wang family, and the cruel Sun Palace has put out a bounty for hundreds of years. Using the Wang clan to threaten him, he had no choice but to comply. He was truly afraid that Crimson Fox would report this matter to Blood Shadow's headquarters. If Blood Shadow became ruthless, even the Netherworld sect wouldn't be enough for them to torment. He came to Wild Goose Town this time to deal with Crimson Fox and save his clone. Now that she took the initiative to provoke him, he had no choice but to make a move. Wu Yi, who was controlling his clone, said, "I'll wait for you at the place where we fought last time." Crimson Fox smiled, "It's really you." After she finished speaking, she went to change her clothes and prepared to leave the underground branch. Wang Daoyuan also left the Wu clan's equipment forging workshop and flew towards the east on his kite. 2 hours later, he arrived at the edge of the sky/mountain range, the place where he fought with Crimson Fox previously. 6 hours later, Crimson Fox, who was wearing a red dress and a black cloak with golden edges, finally arrived. Wang Daoyuan was a little anxious from waiting. Seeing that Wang Daoyuan was already here, Crimson Fox smiled, "I thought you were a cowardly rat. I didn't expect you to have some guts. You just established your Violet Palace realm and you dare to face me head-on." Wang Daoyuan said furiously, "You took 10 hours to travel a distance of 7,000 miles. Are you an early-stage foundation establishment cultivator?" After complaining, she adjusted her state of mind and continued, "If we're talking about cowardly rats, Blood Shadow is the true cowardly one. You're clearly a top faction, but you've been hiding for tens of thousands of years. However, you're too stupid. The reason why I came to Shanbei was to deal with you. If you hadn't seen through my identity, I wouldn't have dared to use all my methods. But now, I have nothing to worry about. Your cultivation isn't much higher than mine. If we fight at the same level, how many moves can you take from me?" Crimson Fox was not angry. "Indeed, I'm not a match for you at the same level. Apart from those peerless geniuses, no one else at the same level is a match for a Penta-Spirit Roots cultivator. However, your understanding of the Violet Palace realm is too shallow. In just a few years, your Destiny Dermic weapon isn't nourished enough and can't unleash much strength. Don't worry, I won't kill you after I defeat you. You should know of my plan. Since you have the potential of a golden core, I want you to infiltrate Blood Shadow and help me complete my plan. If I want to subdue someone like you, I'll have to destroy your arrogance." Before she finished her sentence, a flying sword struck towards Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan wielded his prairie fire sword and fought against the flying sword. Crimson Fox's cultivation was higher and her spirit energy was more robust. Even though Wang Daoyuan's cultivation was lower, he was still a dabbler in sword cultivation. Even though she was at a disadvantage, Crimson Fox could not obtain victory easily. Crimson Fox summoned another flying sword and slashed towards him. Wang Daoyuan summoned his glazed flame mystic iron shield and blocked the flying sword. Fire attribute cultivators were strong in terms of killing power, but their ability to break through defenses was not strong. She could not break through Wang Daoyuan's shield in a short period of time. Crimson Fox wanted to suppress him with her cultivation but to no avail. Everyone knew that Penta-Spirit Roots cultivators could last the longest in fights. If they were to fight a war of attrition, Penta-Spirit Roots cultivators would definitely be the final winners. She conjured another Fire Phoenix Phantom and attacked Wang Daoyuan. Wang Daoyuan naturally knew what her motive was. She was relying on the fact that he had established his Purple Palace for a long time and had a strong spirit to compete with him in terms of spirit consciousness cultivation. At the same time, she had to control 2 grade 3 dermic weapons and use spells. For every additional dermic weapon or spell that one's spirit consciousness controlled, the consumption of spirit consciousness was not simply stacked. For every additional dermic weapon, the consumption of spirit consciousness would increase by several times. The more dermic weapons and spells one controlled, the easier it was for one's spirit energy to go out of control. Once it went out of control, the spirit energy would run amok within one's body and one would be severely injured even if one did not die. Since she had made her move, Wang Daoyuan had to receive it as well. He conjured his water dragon technique and conjured a water dragon that was more than 100 feet long, entangling with the fire phoenix. Wang Daoyuan's water dragon technique was half-baked as well. Relying on the special attribute of water spirit energy, it could attack the soul and attack the opponent directly. Its lethality was not bad. However, against the fire phoenix phantom, its special attribute was not of much use. The water dragon was naturally not the fire phoenix phantom's match either. But relying on attribute restraint, it could still continue to persist. The two people went from purely competing in spirit energy consumption to competing in spirit energy and spirit consciousness consumption. Even though Scarlet Fox had established his Purple Palace for more than 100 years and his spirit was extremely powerful, he also felt somewhat strained at this time. Before Wang Daoyuan established his Purple Palace, his spirit was already very strong. After establishing his Purple Palace, he still ate black jade nether lotus seeds as snacks. The strength of his spirit was also very high. The two people's spirit consciousness cultivation was more or less the same. Scarlet Fox wanted to end the battle quickly. His spirit consciousness power erupted, suppressing Wang Daoyuan's water dragon. Wang Daoyuan also erupted his spirit consciousness power right after, directly competing with Scarlet Fox in spirit consciousness. Competing in spirit consciousness power, they were evenly matched again. Scarlet Fox withdrew his spirit consciousness power and said in surprise, "Your spirit consciousness cultivation is actually so strong?" Wang Daoyuan did not say anything and also withdrew his spirit consciousness power. Taking out a jar of spirit peach dew, he drank a few mouthfuls. Then, he took out several black jade and nether lotus seeds and ate them. Seeing this situation, Scarlet Fox completely gave up the idea of competing in consumption. Against a penta-spirit roots cultivator, one should use an ultimate move to kill in a single blow. She withdrew her flying sword and fire phoenix phantom. Fiery red spirit energy surged on her body. Wang Daoyuan had been in a defensive state all along. At this time, he did not counterattack anymore and withdrew his flying sword and water dragon. Executing the Golden Rock Wrestling Dragon technique, he conjured the Golden Rock Phantom. Chapter 368. 5 breaths later, the phantom of a phoenix divine bird with a wingspan of more than 600 feet appeared above Scarlet Fox. The divine bird was fiery red and did not have 5 colors like phoenixes. It did not have a gorgeous crest on its head and only had 5 long feathers on its tail. The illusory figure also let out a cry, which was different from the legendary phoenix cry. It sounded more like the sound of music. That divine bird should be a Yuan. It had the most pleasant voice of the phoenix race. The phoenix race was similar to the dragon race. Even if they were pure-blooded, there were many different types. There were 5 different colors of Yuans and those that were fiery red were called scarlet Yuans. The spirit energy fluctuations released by the Scarlet Yuan Phantom were far above that of the Fire Phoenix from before. Furthermore, unlike the Fire Phoenix from before, the Scarlet Yuan Phantom was extremely agile and had an aura that made one respect it. It should have the charm of a Scarlet Yuan that could make human cultivators fearful. It was definitely not something that the dragon might of his water dragon technique could compare to. If one could cultivate the charm of a dermic art and form a golden core in the future, they would be famous experts. In terms of talent, they should be at the level of his patriarch and even stronger than the 12th uncle. After all, the 12th uncle's water dragon technique was only so and could not threaten him in a battle of the same level. At this moment, Wang Daoyuan had also condensed the Golden Rock Phantom. After his cultivation breakthrough, the Golden Rock Phantom had improved by quite a bit and its wingspan had reached more than 700 feet. 1,000-foot-long feathers were distributed on both wings of the Golden Rock. The Scarlet Luan Phantom spread its wings and ignited a sea of flames within 1,000 feet radius. The surrounding vegetation was burned to ashes and even the soil on the ground was charred. Scarlet Fox controlled the Scarlet Luan Phantom and flew towards him with a sea of flames. Wang Daoyuan gulped, feeling that it would be difficult to win with the Golden Rock alone. After all, although the Golden Rock Phantom was strong, he had not cultivated the charm and his dermic art was incomplete. Immediately, he used the heaven-burning divine fire technique and condensed a Beiyuan Phantom, extracting the spirit energy in the sea of flames to weaken the Scarlet Luan Phantom. The Golden Rock Phantom was of the metal attribute and was not very useful against the Scarlet Luan sea of flames. Wang Daoyuan controlled the Golden Rock to fly towards Scarlet Fox and attack him with the feather blades. The Red Luan pounces over with a sea of fire. The Beiyuan can't extract the spiritual power of fire in a short period of time. He had no choice but to use smoke escape again to avoid the attack. Zifu disciples were able to use their divine sense to control the direction of their attacks. So long as Scarlet Fox was able to hold on, the illusion of the Crimson Luan would be able to continue chasing after him. Using the cloud mist escape was just to buy time for the Beiyuan to weaken the Red Luan's shadow even more. Wang Daoyuan split his attention into three. He controlled the Beiyuan Phantom to execute cloud mist escape and also controlled the Golden Rock Phantom to attack Scarlet Fox. It was already extremely strenuous for Scarlet Fox to control the Scarlet Luan and the Sea of Flames. He did not have the remaining strength to cast powerful spells to resist the Golden Rock's Phantom. Flames flashed in front of her, and a fiery red longsword appeared out of thin air. The entire sword looked like a phoenix. The body of the sword was formed by several phoenix tail feathers coiled around it. The sword drum was the phoenix's wings, the sword hilt was the phoenix's neck, and the sword head was the phoenix's head. Her eyes were fixed on Wang Daoyuan the entire time as she channeled all her divine sense into the illusion of the Crimson Luan. There was no need to expend any divine sense to control the longsword at all. As long as she channeled spirit energy, the longsword would automatically attack the Golden Rock Phantom. When a Destiny Dermic weapon was refined to a certain extent, the owner and the Destiny Dermic weapon would be connected mentally. With a single thought, the longsword would automatically attack according to the owner's intentions. Wang Daoyuan controlled the Golden Rock Phantom to release feather blades to attack Scarlet Fox. Her long sword slashed out streaks of fiery red sword beams, shattering the feather blades. Wang Daoyuan used smoke escape continuously and expended a lot of spirit energy as well. He took the time to drink a few mouthfuls of spirit wine and continued to lead the illusion of the Crimson Luan on a stroll. After establishing his purple palace, the speed at which the Beiyuan Phantom extracted fire spirit energy became even faster. At that moment, a third of the Sea of Flames summoned by the illusion of the Crimson Luan had already been extracted by the Beiyuan Phantom. As long as Wang Daoyuan held on for a little longer, he would be able to extract the entire Sea of Flames. However, the more fire spirit energy the Beiyuan Phantom absorbed, the more strenuous it would be for him to control it. On the contrary, it would be easier for Scarlet Fox. If he continued to multitask, his spirit consciousness would not be able to hold on for long. He controlled the Golden Rock Phantom to release all its feathers before charging towards Scarlet Fox. Scarlet Fox's Destiny Dermic weapon no longer released sword beams and the phoenix on the sword seemed to have come alive. A phoenix phantom was formed instantly and extended its wings, blocking all the feather blades. The phoenix phantom was also destroyed. This phoenix phantom was the Dharma characteristic of Scarlet Fox's Destiny Dermic weapon. Just like the black tortoise condensed by Wang Daoyuan's black tortoise shield, it was the strongest technique apart from the destiny dermic weapon itself. The golden rock arrived instantly and slashed its long sword at the golden rock. Wang Daoyuan detonated the golden rock phantom directly and the long sword was blown away, turning dull. The owner would be implicated if the destiny dermic weapon was damaged. Scarlet Fox spat out a mouthful of blood and retracted her long sword back into her dantian. She was already at a disadvantage in this battle. Her destiny dermic weapon was damaged and she was only left with a crimson Yuan phantom. Furthermore, she was being toyed with by Wang Daoyuan. The sea of fire was about to be sucked dry by the Baifang. If this dragged on, she would be in an even more passive position. Scarlet Fox revealed a resolute expression. The crimson Yuan phantom absorbed the sea of fire into its body. Not only did it not grow stronger, it was shrinking instead. When its wingspan shrank to 100 feet, Scarlet Fox's glabella emitted a purple glow and the cry of a crimson Yuan could be heard. The crimson Yuan phantom let out the same cry and lunged towards Wang Daoyuan. This was Purple Mansion Resonance, a secret skill that could only be released by cultivators with a Purple Mansion phenomenon. It was usually released with a Destiny Dermic weapon and the Dharma characteristic of the Destiny Dermic weapon was similar to the Purple Mansion phenomenon. Purple Mansion Resonance was usually released with a Destiny Dermic weapon. It was even more difficult to release it with a Dermic art. If Scarlet Fox released Purple Mansion Resonance, her Purple Mansion phenomenon should be a Crimson Yuan as well. After releasing Purple Mansion Resonance, the power of Dermic arts would increase tremendously. At that moment, the Crimson Yuan phantom was extremely fast and Wang Daoyuan could not dodge it even with Cloud Mist escape. The Baifang phantom could not block it in time and could only summon the Black Tortoise shield and conjure the Black Tortoise Dharma characteristic to block the Crimson Yuan. The Black Tortoise shield alone would not be able to withstand the Crimson Yuan phantom. The Wang clan patriarch's Purple Mansion phenomenon was the Water Dragon, which could produce Purple Mansion Resonance with his Dermic weapon and the Water Dragon technique. Naturally, he would not let go of the Purple Mansion Resonance secret skill. Wang Daoyuan had also learned this secret skill. However, he had only nurtured the Black Tortoise shield for a short period of time and the success rate of releasing Purple Mansion Resonance was not high. At that moment, the Crimson Yuan was only 100 feet away from him and he only had one chance. If he succeeded, he would barely be able to withstand the Crimson Yuan. If he failed, even if he did not die, he would not be left with much life. He injected a large amount of spiritual sense into the Black Tortoise rune outside his Purple Mansion. The Black Tortoise rune immediately turned into a Black Tortoise phantom and let out a roar. Wang Daoyuan immediately injected the power of the phantom into the Black Tortoise shield. In the blink of an eye, the Crimson Yuan and the Black Tortoise Dermic projection collided. The Black Tortoise Dermic projection was still a little weak and was struggling to withstand the Crimson Yuan head-on. Soon, it was broken. The Crimson Yuan phantom also dimmed a lot and its power was less than a third of before. After that, the Crimson Yuan crashed into the Black Tortoise shield and exploded. Thankfully, the Black Tortoise shield's defense was strong enough to withstand the blow. Even though it was not shattered, it was severely damaged. It would take at least a few months for it to recover. Wang Daoyuan was also implicated when his Destiny Dermic weapon was damaged. Coupled with the power of the Crimson Yuan phantom's self-destruction, Wang Daoyuan felt as though his chest was on fire. He only felt better after spitting out a few mouthfuls of blood. He only had about 10% of his spiritual sense and spiritual sense left, he was unable to control the Baifang phantom anymore. After dispersing the Baifang phantom, he cast rejuvenation on himself and his injuries recovered slightly. Taking out the spirit peach dew, he drank a few mouthfuls and swallowed a few black jade lotus seeds. Scarlet Fox's final attack was also done with all her might and she did not have much spiritual sense left, her injuries were much lighter than Wang Daoyuan's. She also took out a few elixirs and consumed them. Wang Daoyuan condensed an earth divine thunder in his hands and smiled. Who do you think has a higher chance of winning if we continue fighting? Scarlet Fox took out a fiery red pearl that had an extremely violent spirit energy fluctuation. Smiling, she asked, "What do you think?" Chapter 369. Although Wang Daoyuan hadn't seen this item before, he was extremely familiar with it. The pearl contained pure fire attribute spiritual energy, but also had the power of thunder. The method used to refine it was of the same origin as the remaining Gui water lightning pearl in his possession. Without a doubt, this was the third fire lightning pearl. From the ripples of spiritual energy, one could tell that it was at least of the third grade, or even the fourth grade. In other words, the third fire lightning sealed within this third fire lightning pearl was at least unleashed by a late Zifu disciple. The third grade third fire lightning pearl had the ability to injure early Aurus core stage cultivators. As long as a Zifu disciple was within its attack range, the chances of survival were slim. Even if Wang Daoyuan's Xuanwu shield was in perfect condition, it wouldn't be able to withstand such an attack. Moreover, the attack range of this item was extremely terrifying. Once detonated, there would be absolutely no chance of survival within half a kilometer. At this moment, the distance between Wang Daoyuan and Scarlet Fox was only around half a kilometer. Once the third fire lightning pearl detonated, its power would instantly erupt. Even if he used the cloud mist escape to travel through the air, he wouldn't be able to escape its attack range. If Scarlet Fox really went crazy and detonated the third fire lightning pearl without regard for anything else, both of them would die. Brash when facing the weak, cowardly when facing the strong. This was Wang Daoyuan's usual way of doing things. Now that he had met someone he couldn't afford to offend, he naturally had to cower. Wang Daoyuan smiled amiably, "Senior, you have to be careful. If this accidentally detonates, both of us will die. Think about it, if you die, that bitch Xian Martin will take over all the men you left behind. That enemy of yours at Bloodshadow's headquarters can even smile crookedly. I shoulder the heavy responsibility of reviving my clan. I have a 230-year-old grandfather and a younger brother who cries piteously for food. They all depend on me to feed them. I don't want to die, and you shouldn't want to die either. Originally, I didn't have the intention to kill you. I only wanted to take revenge for the injury from last time. My main goal is still to cooperate with you. There's no need to fight and kill." Hearing this, Scarlet Fox laughed out loud. "That 230-year-old grandfather of yours is Wang Jiza, right? He's a bit older than me, and a Foundation establishment stage cultivator. Indeed, he doesn't have many days left. As for your brother who is crying piteously for food, according to the information I have, you should only have one biological brother. Wang Daoyin, the last disciple of Daoist Lei Yan, should be over 90 years old now, right? What's wrong? Your brother is over 90 years old and still hasn't stopped drinking milk." Wang Daoyuan smiled awkwardly, but at the same time, he felt relieved. Scarlet Fox could still think and analyze normally, indicating that she would not be hot-headed to detonate the third fire thunder bead for the time being. Before Chen Shi could reply, Crimson Fox continued. "Cooperation is fine, but you have to let Wu Yi go. He was personally promoted by me, and he's a capable subordinate of mine. It was not easy to find a useful subordinate. All these years, I was able to suppress that bitch Xian Martin because of Wu Yi. I can't ignore him." Wang Daoyuan shook his head and said, "There's no point in letting him go. If I don't care about him, he'll immediately become a fool. Back then, when he tried to assassinate me, I had already dealt with him. All these years, he has been helping you recruit soldiers and buy horses under my control. The one who truly helped you suppress the Xian Martin has always been me. He himself is a brave but not astute fellow. If he really had the ability to help you suppress the Xian Martin, why didn't he do it earlier? If it really doesn't work, I'll pass on the secret of recruiting soldiers to you. You can recruit as many soldiers as you want. Isn't suppressing that idiot Xian Martin as easy as playing? Crimson Fox pondered for a moment and said, since you have the ability, then you can join Blood Shadow yourself. Now that you've already established the Violet Palace, you can join Blood Shadow and complete a few missions. Soon, you'll be able to become a Vice Hall Master. The two of us can suppress her together. I don't believe that anyone will be willing to follow her. How about it, if you agree, we'll cooperate. If you don't, then I'll detonate the Fire Lightning Pearl. You'll definitely die, but I might not. Do you dare to try? Wang Daoyuan naturally didn't dare to try. He didn't have the means to resist the Fire Lightning Pearl. Joining Blood Shadow didn't matter. After all, it was just another identity, and he didn't need to use his real name to join. He had wandered the world for many years and had many identities. He didn't care about having another identity as a Vice Hall Master of Blood Shadow. He nodded and said, I agree to join Blood Shadow, but I can't reveal my true identity. Crimson Fox didn't even think about it and nodded. That's not a problem. Those with code names in Blood Shadow aren't willing to reveal their true identity. There are many such people in the headquarters. Even if you become a Golden Core Realm cultivator in the future, you don't have to reveal your true identity. You said you want to cooperate with me. How do you want to cooperate? Wang Daoyuan said, I need many things in Blood Shadow. For example, information, yin-yang purple jade, and some precious spiritual herbs and refining materials. As for what I can provide, I feel that you should need the Violet Rhythm Pill. According to what I know, you've been in the Shanbei branch for hundreds of years. You were in the Violet Palace realm when you came, and after so many years, you're only in the mid-stage Violet Palace realm. With your talent, you should be at least in the late-stage Violet Palace realm. As for your slow cultivation, it should be a problem with resources. The spiritual vein in Guiyan Market is only a third-grade low-grade spiritual vein, and it's also a non-elemental spiritual vein. It's indeed not enough for you. The main ingredient of the Violet Rhythm Pill is the Violet Rhythm Dragon Ginseng. Very few people are willing to grow it in large quantities. I believe that Blood Shadow's headquarters doesn't have much of it, right? I happen to have quite a lot of it. When my alchemy skills improve, I can refine the Violet Rhythm Pill myself and give you some. With the Violet Rhythm Pill, it won't be too difficult for you to break through to the Golden Core realm. At that time, your enemy won't be able to cover the sky with one hand and make the headquarters give up on a Golden Core realm cultivator. Crimson Fox thought for a moment and said, I originally didn't have any hopes of forming a Golden Core and returning to the headquarters. Later on, I wanted to nurture a subordinate with the potential of a Golden Core realm cultivator to enter the upper echelons of Blood Shadow and help me deal with my enemy. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a suitable one after searching for over 100 years. Since you have the Violet Rhythm Pill and can give me the hope of forming a Golden Core and taking revenge personally, I agree to cooperate with you. You help me suppress the Mystic Sable and provide me with the Violet Rhythm Pill. I'll provide you with what you want. That's right, do you still have the seeds of the Inky Jade Serene Lotus? Wang Daoyuan looked at the third Fire Lightning Pearl in her hand and said, put away this life-threatening thing first. I'm a coward. Looking at this thing, my hair stands on end. Crimson Fox said with a smile, you're too sinister. I don't trust you. My spiritual power and consciousness are exhausted now. If I put away the third Fire Lightning Pearl, I won't be able to block you if you attack me. Give me a jar of wine that recovers spiritual power first and 5 Inky Jade Serene Lotus seeds. Wait until my consciousness and cultivation have recovered completely, then I'll put away the third Fire Lightning Pearl. Wang Daoyuan took out a jar of wine and 2 Inky Jade Serene Lotus seeds and said, do you think these lotus seeds are cabbages? You want 5 of them right away. However, I don't trust you either. Let me retreat 3 miles away and I'll give you the things. To him, the inky jade serene lotus seeds were indeed similar to cabbages. However, this matter definitely couldn't be revealed. Crimson Fox thought for a moment and shook her head. 2 lotus seeds are fine. However, you have to retreat 5 miles away. You still have the ability to ambush me at a distance of 3 miles. Put the things on the ground and retreat 5 miles away. Wang Daoyuan naturally didn't have any objections. Retreating 5 miles away, he was also safe. Placing the jar of spirit peach dew and the 2 lotus seeds on the ground, he turned around and executed the cloud mist escape. Crossing the void, he fled into the distance. After he was more than 2 miles away from Crimson Fox, he let out a long sigh of relief. At this distance, the 3rd fire lightning pearl couldn't threaten him anymore. After that, he slowly walked to 5 miles away. He also didn't have the confidence to ambush Crimson Fox. After all, he came from a major power and had many defensive items on him. If he killed Crimson Fox and Blood Shadow investigated, he wouldn't be able to bear the consequences. As for refining into a clone, the difficulty was too great. Opening the Purple Mansion and having the Purple Mansion phenomenon, it was very difficult for the soul-splitting blade to injure her divine soul. In any case, the things he wanted could be exchanged. There was no need to take this risk. Chapter 370. Seeing that Wang Daoyuan was 2.5 kilometers away, Scarlet Fox heaved a sigh of relief. After all, she did not want to die either. She cast a Dharma spell and conjured a Scarlet Luan phantom with a wingspan of about 3 feet to bring the wine and lotus seeds back. She swallowed 2 lotus seeds and conjured a jar of spirit peach dew into a stream of water before swallowing it. She drank an entire jar of wine in one go. Her alcohol tolerance was really good. Thereafter, she sat down and meditated to recover her spirit energy and spirit consciousness. 15 minutes later, she finished refining the black jade nether lotus and stood up to put away the 3rd fire lightning pearl. She smiled. I've recovered. Do you dare to fight again? Wang Daoyuan walked forward and replied, Our Destiny Dharma weapons are both damaged. I can't defend against your Scarlet Luan and you can't defend against my Golden Rock. If we continue fighting, both of us will be injured. That's right, your Scarlet Luan phantom is rather extraordinary and seems to have a hint of charm. If not for the fact that the Baifeng phantom weakened it, I wouldn't have been able to withstand that attack. Based on what I know, there are only 2 lineages in Beiyuan Xiuxian that can conjure the phantom of a phoenix divine bird and possess such a powerful legacy. One of them is the royal family of Zhou and the other is the royal family of Chu. Before the various countries fought for hegemony, Emperor Zhou was the common ruler of the human race. The current royal families of various countries were all vassals under Emperor Zhou. Until now, the royal families of many countries were still branches of the Zhou family. For example, the Wei country. It had been more than 30,000 years since the establishment of the Zhou country. There were many branches and many people who changed their surnames. For example, the Shi family of River Sun was also a distant branch of the Zhou royal family. The phoenix travel that Shi Zhenbang conjured back then was also a legacy of the Zhou royal family. The royal family of Chu and Zhou were not the same family. Although their legacies were similar, they were not closely related. Furthermore, the descendants of the Chu royal family did not cover the entire human territory like the Zhou royal family. Therefore, the possibility of Scarlet Fox being a member of the Zhou family was the greatest. Scarlet Fox did not avoid anything. My name is Zhou Luan and I'm considered a distant branch of the Zhou royal family. It's not rare for the Zhou royal family to have descendants all over the world. On the other hand, the Golden Rock Phantom that you conjured was able to possess such might despite having a form but no spirit. It's definitely not a golden core legacy. According to the information I have, about 50,000 years ago, there was a famous Yuanian cultivator known as True Lord Golden Rock. Wang Daoyuan was amazed by Blood Shadow's ability to pry into people's privacy. This was the first time someone had seen through the origins of the Golden Rock Wrestling Dragon technique. Wang Daoyuan waved his hand and said, "All right, let's stop testing each other. I have a lot of experience in infiltrating the Blood Shadow branch." However, as for how to get to the position of Vice Hall Master, they had to discuss it first. My plan is to enter Blood Shadow as a Peak Foundation establishment loose cultivator and get a position as a manager. With Quiet Wolf as a precedent, it shouldn't be a problem. After that, I went to kill the 2 leaders of the Red Beard Bandits. Their bounties should be over 1,000,000 spirit stones. After I kill them, I'll exchange them for a piece of yin-yang purple jade. Afterwards, he would leave the branch for a few years, then return as a Zifu disciple. It's up to you to decide what to do next. The only thing I'm worried about is whether the Black Marten has the ability to see through my disguise. If she sees through my concealment, it'll be troublesome. After all, a Zifu disciple definitely has an ulterior motive for joining the Blood Shadow branch. After saying that, he suppressed his cultivation to the peak of Foundation establishment. Scarlet Fox used his divine sense to scan him and replied, "Your concealment technique is quite brilliant. Even with my divine sense, I can't see through your true cultivation. That bitch, the Black Marten, doesn't even need to be mentioned. If she really had the ability, she wouldn't have been sent to Shanbei to deal with me. Your method of entering the branch will work, but it'll be difficult for you to become a Vice Hall Master in the future. I have the authority to appoint managers, and I have the authority to manage all the affairs of the branch. However, the Vice Hall Master must be appointed by the headquarters. If you were brought into the branch by me, even if you reveal your identity as a Zifu disciple, it'll be very difficult for you to become a Vice Hall Master. Even if you become a Vice Hall Master, you'll be transferred out of Shanbei to another branch, and we won't be able to work together. If you were brought into the branch by a Vice Hall Master, it'll be very easy for you to become a Vice Hall Master. That bitch, the Black Marten, doesn't want to stay here either. You just have to make her believe that you're one of her people. When you reveal your identity as a Zifu disciple, she'll definitely eagerly report to the headquarters and let you become a Vice Hall Master so that she can return to the headquarters. As for how you'll gain her trust, that'll depend on your ability." Thinking about it carefully, it really made sense. Scarlet Fox's enemy could push Scarlet Fox, a future higher-up, out of the headquarters. If he applied to become a Vice Hall Master with his identity as a rogue cultivator, he'll definitely be suppressed. Only by making use of the Black Marten's desire to leave the branch and making her apply would he have a chance of passing. If he wanted to gain the Black Marten's trust, taking the initiative to deliver himself to her door was the most unreliable. The Black Marten had 2 managers under her, and it'd be best if he could refine one of them into a doppelganger and use the doppelganger to bring him into the branch. This way, the credibility would be much higher. After pondering for a long time, Wang Daoyuan said, "Think of a way to make one of the managers under the Black Marten go out on a mission. It's best if he goes alone. If he can't go alone, then arrange a mission with a higher risk. I'll take the opportunity to control him. A rogue cultivator recruited by the Black Marten's manager, she should believe me, right? When the time comes, we'll put on another show. You've suppressed me in every possible way and sent me to carry out dangerous missions. I'll bear a grudge against you and become the Black Marten's hardcore supporter. After that, I'll recruit more than 10 Foundation establishment cultivators. You'll take care of you Lang subordinates while you're at it. The loyal ones will be recruited as direct subordinates, and the useless ones will be taken care of. Let the Black Marten surpass you on the surface, and then I'll reveal my Zifu realm cultivation. This way, the headquarters will be assured to let me become the Vice Hall Master. Scarlet Fox nodded and said, "Your method is not bad. Your method of controlling people is extremely brilliant. I used a secret technique and could only see that there's something wrong with Wu Yi's soul. Normally, I couldn't see any flaws at all. If it wasn't for the support of the headquarters, that idiot Black Martin would have been taken care of by me long ago. If you control her manager, she'll definitely not discover it. It'd be best if you can control both managers. Let her subordinates become my men. It's just that my current strength far exceeds hers. If you want her to suppress me on the surface, it might take a long time." Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "Isn't that simple? Find a dangerous mission and give it to Wu Yi. Once Wu Yi dies, you'll recruit the reliable subordinates as direct subordinates. I'll rope in the unreliable ones and get rid of the rest. Although the Black Martin doesn't have many suitable managers, she has a lot of direct subordinates. The number of direct subordinates you have now is probably less than the Black Martin, right? Direct subordinates don't often carry out missions and don't attract attention. If you recruit more direct subordinates, it won't show how strong you are. At that time, the Black Martin will have 3 managers while you'll only have 1 manager, Lu Zong. Won't she be able to suppress you on the surface?" Zhou Wan nodded and said, "You're really black-hearted. You're able to get rid of your own subordinates just like that. This is indeed possible. Anyway, Wu Yi is your man. Whether he dies or not has nothing to do with me. That's right, Lu Zong is also under your control, right?" She was already suspicious. There was no point in hiding it. He might as well admit it openly. Wang Daoyuan nodded and said, "He's indeed one of my men." Zhou Wan was so angry that she wanted to attack. "You're really capable. Of the 3 managers under me, 2 of them are your men. The last one was killed by you. If it wasn't for the fact that Yu Lang was chasing after Wu Yi and was discovered by me, I'm afraid I would have been replaced by you." Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "It's not that bad. It's not easy to make a move against a Zifu disciple. Besides, are you willing to work with an idiot or with someone like me? As long as you don't have any ideas about my clan, there's no conflict of interest between us. There's also no need to scheme against you." Chapter 371. The relationship between the Wang clan and Blood Shadow was that someone had paid money to kill a member of the Wang clan. Blood Shadow took the money but did not complete the task. There was no conflict of interest in other aspects. Although the Wang clan's reward was still up, no one was willing to accept it. After all, everyone knew that the Wang clan's foundation establishment cultivators were not easy to deal with. Blood Shadow would not risk being discovered and send a Zifu realm cultivator to deal with the Wang clan for a clan with no conflict of interest. Of course, the prerequisite was that Blood Shadow's headquarters did not know what Wang Daoyuan had done. Otherwise, they would have to send a Golden Core cultivator to deal with him. Zhou Wan was also not stupid enough to report Wang Daoyuan's matter to headquarters. She handed a jade talisman to Wang Daoyuan and said, "I only want to kill my enemy and avenge my father. I have no interest in going against your Wang clan. We'll follow your plan. I'll go back and slowly arrange it. When the 2 stewards under the Black Sable go out on a mission, I'll contact you again. This message talisman can be used within 10,000 miles." With that, she left on her sword and returned to Guiyan Market. There was no point for Wang Daoyuan to continue staying here. His cooperation with Zhou Wan had already been decided. His top priority now was to repair his natal magic weapon. The Xuanwu shield was also at a disadvantage. It was heavily damaged in its first direct confrontation with a Zifu realm cultivator. He rode the kite back to Guiyan Market and repaired his natal magic weapon at the Wu clan's equipment workshop. The spirit vein of Guiyan Market was non-elemental. It was perfect for Wang Daoyuan. When he returned to the crafting workshop, his clone Beiyuan was still working diligently on the crafting work. No one would come to the equipment workshop to buy level 3 magic weapons. With Beiyuan taking care of him, it was enough. He cultivated in the cave residence in the backyard and repaired the Xuanwu shield. It had to be said that Zhou Wan's final move was too powerful. The Xuanwu shield was severely damaged. The magic weapon itself was fine. After all, it was made from spirit spring pearls, which were between solid and liquid. As long as it was not destroyed instantly, it was easy to repair. The tool inscriptions were the most severely damaged. 1/3 of the tool inscriptions drawn with divine consciousness had been destroyed. It would take at least a month or two to repair these tool inscriptions. In addition, the shield had been roasted by the flames and had lost a lot of its source energy. The origins within a natal dermic artifact determined its strength and grade. The source of an artifact needed to be nourished with spiritual power and true yuan in order to recover. After staying in the weapon workshop for more than 3 months, he finally restored the black tortoise shield to its original state. There was also news from Scarlet Fox's side. She had already chosen a mission for Mystic Martin's subordinates. The next step was to lure those 2 stewards to carry out this mission. She didn't reveal the details of the mission, and Wang Daoyuan couldn't be bothered to know what the mission was as long as it didn't delay him from refining his clone. After contacting Crimson Fox, Wang Daoyuan originally wanted to continue nurturing his magic weapon, but an uninvited guest came. It was not a stranger, but Beiyuan from the White Fox tribe. Wang Daoyuan had rented the weapon refining workshop for more than 30 years. Back then, Beiyuan was at the 3rd level of the Foundation Establishment realm. Now, she was only at the 4th level of the Foundation Establishment realm. However, her appearance hadn't changed at all and she still looked like a young girl. This wasn't surprising. The lifespan of a half-demon was between that of a human and a demon. As for how old they could live, it depended on their demon bloodline. If the ancestors of the White Fox tribe truly had the bloodline of the 9-tailed celestial fox, it wouldn't be strange for Beiyuan to live for 500 to 600 years with her Foundation Establishment realm cultivation. 30 years wasn't even a tenth of her lifespan. In all aspects, half-demons were between humans and demons, be it in terms of lifespan or cultivation speed. They could use dermic weapons and their intelligence was close to that of humans. There were also demons with strong physical bodies and special physical talents. Of course, their flaws were obvious as well. They weren't like demon beasts who could reach a certain cultivation realm just by developing their bloodline without any comprehension. They weren't like human cultivators who had unlimited potential either. Therefore, half-demons cultivated slower than humans and there was no guarantee of what realm they could reach. Their perception was also much worse than that of humans, and their cultivation of the 100 arts of immortal cultivation was a complete mess. This time, Beiyuan sent over a wolf tooth that was more than 2 feet long that needed to be refined into a flying sword. It wasn't the first time she sent over a wolf bone, so there was nothing strange about it. This time, she even asked to meet Wang Daoyuan. This shop was the territory of the White Fox tribe and he had been back for a few months. He definitely couldn't hide it from them. Wang Daoyuan left the cave abode and went to the weapon refinement room. He asked, "Dao Yu Bai, long time no see. Why are you looking for me?" Beiyuan bowed and said, "It's been a long time. I didn't expect Wu Dao Yu to be at the peak of Foundation Establishment realm. I should call you Senior Wu from now on. I wonder if your weapon refinement skills have reached the 3rd level?" Wang Daoyuan didn't refuse Beiyuan's respectful title. It was normal for a mid-stage Foundation Establishment realm cultivator to call a peak Foundation Establishment realm cultivator senior. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "I was lucky to have made a small improvement in my weapon refinement skills a few years ago. Now, I can indeed refine inferior-grade 3rd-level dermic weapons." Beiyuan was overjoyed. Her fox ears trembled and she hurriedly closed the door of the weapon refinement workshop. She took out a storage bag and bowed. "Senior Wu, I have 2 inferior-grade 3rd-level materials here. I would like to ask you to help me refine flying swords. As long as they can reach the standard of inferior-grade 3rd-level flying swords, it'll be fine. If you can refine one of them, you'll be paid 10,000 spirit stones. If you can refine 2 of them, I'm willing to buy the second flying sword for 30,000 spirit stones." Wang Daoyuan took the storage bag and opened it. His expression didn't change, but there was a storm in his heart. Inside were 2 fangs of a wolf-type demonic beast that had just been pulled out. Judging from the spiritual power fluctuations, it should be the fangs of an inferior-grade 3rd-level demonic wolf and a few pieces of inferior-grade 3rd-level metal materials. He took out the fangs and looked at them carefully. The fangs were 3 feet long and there were vertical ridges on them. The spaces between the ridges were like blood grooves. A 3rd-level demonic wolf with such fangs could only be a bloodthirsty ash wolf. It seemed that the White Fox tribe had been fighting against the bloodthirsty ash wolves all these years. However, the bloodthirsty ash wolves were a strong tribe among the demonic beasts and there should be more than 1 4th-level demonic beast. The White Fox tribe only had a few Violet Palace realm half-demons and not a single golden core. Where did they get the guts to go against the bloodthirsty ash wolves? He pretended as if nothing had happened and said, "These 2 fangs are well preserved and there's not much spiritual power loss. It won't be a problem to refine inferior-grade 3rd-level flying swords. I'll take this job." Beiyuan was overjoyed and thanked him again before leaving the weapon refinement workshop. Wang Daoyuan handed the materials to Bai Sheng. Although he was an superior-grade 2nd-level weapon refinement master and didn't have the ability to refine inferior-grade 3rd-level flying swords, it wasn't a problem for him to handle the materials. He returned to his cave abode and used his perception to scan Wu Yi and Lu Zong's memories to see if there was any information about the White Fox tribe. In the end, he found nothing. The 2 of them didn't know anything about the White Fox tribe. It wasn't a small matter that 3rd-level demonic beasts had died in the war between the demonic beasts and half-demons. Given Blood Shadow's intelligence, it was impossible for him to know nothing about such a huge matter. It was possible that he didn't have the authority to know such information. Now that Zhou Wan knew that Wu Yi and Lu Zong were under his control, there was no need for him to go through the trouble and ask her directly. Although Lu Zong was Zhou Wan's subordinate, he wasn't a direct descendant and it wasn't good for him to go to Zhou Wan's cave abode directly. Now that Wu Yi was released from house arrest, he continued to be the 4th steward. As for Wu Yi's disappearance for the past few years, Zhou Wan's explanation was that he was severely injured by bandits when he was out on a mission. Wu Yi used to frequent Zhou Wan's cave abode and it wasn't too conspicuous to ask her about the situation. Chapter 372. Wang Daoyuan controlled his doppelganger, Wu Yi, to arrive at Zhou Wan's estate. As a middle Zifu disciple, Zhou Wan naturally knew that Wu Yi had arrived at her door. The door to the estate opened, and Wang Daoyuan walked in. After Wu Yi entered, the door closed. The second door to the estate was open, but Zhou Wan was not in front. Wu Yi's doppelganger sat down on a chair, then picked up a spirit fruit from the table and began to eat. Zhou Wan's voice rang out from behind the second door. "Are you Wang Daoyuan or Wu Yi?" While eating, the doppelganger said, "Do you even need to ask? Does Wu Yi have the guts? Why are you staying in your room and not coming out? Do you want to invite me in? I've never entered a woman's room before, especially one of a Zifu disciple." Zhou Wan laughed softly. "Then come in." Wang Daoyuan was somewhat speechless. He controlled his doppelganger to say, "Forget it. You can come out and talk." Zhou Wan let out a laugh that sounded like a clear spring. She truly lived up to her reputation as a crimson wan, her voice was quite pleasant to the ear. After waiting for more than an hour, Wuyi's doppelganger had finished eating a plate of spirit fruit. Only then did she walk out of her room, dressed in a red robe that saved a great deal of fabric. She walked in front of the stone table, then sat down on a chair and crossed her legs. Wuyi laughed. By the way, is our branch this poor? Even the hallmaster has to take the lead in saving a great deal of fabric. I have to hold some mystic ice chalcedony in my hands when I talk to you. Xiaofan laughed for a while, then said, I didn't expect that the genius of the four Tao of alchemy, artifact, and talisman, Wang Daoyuan, was actually a lecher. The Wang clan is a clan with 700 years of history. In the past, it even had the title of Marquis of Jade Spring. You're a member of a noble clan, but you haven't even learned the rules of see no harm? Wang Daoyuan didn't seem to care about her mockery. He replied, I learned it with my mouth, but not my eyes. Xiaofan laughed for a long time before she asked, you didn't come here to talk nonsense, did you? If you have something to say, just say it. Wang Daoyuan replied, I want to know where the White Fox tribe got the guts to kill a rank 3 bloodthirsty ash wolf. You should have some information on your side. I'll see if there's a chance to fan the flames and blow things up. Xiaofan asked curiously, how do you know about this? Blood shadow doesn't provoke half-demon beasts and half-demon beasts easily. I only collect information about them and don't disclose it to the public. Logically speaking, you shouldn't know about the conflict between the White Fox tribe and the bloodthirsty ash wolf. What's more, I've only just received the news that the White Fox tribe killed a rank 3 bloodthirsty ash wolf. Where did you get the news from? Wang Daoyuan replied, just now, Beiyuan of the White Fox tribe sent 2 bloodthirsty ash wolf fangs to me and asked me to refine 2 low-grade 3 flying swords. No matter what, I'm still a low-grade 3 weapon refiner. How can I not recognize the fangs that were just plucked out? Xiaofan asked again, sent to you? I've sent people to keep an eye on Beiyuan. Didn't he send it to the Wu clan's weapon refinery? Wang Daoyuan was stunned for a moment, you were too careless. After all this fuss, you didn't know about my hidden identity here. After the fight with you, I didn't deliberately conceal it. I thought you had already discovered me. Xiaofan smiled, that shop used to be a weapon refinery owned by a kid from the Archaic Mysteries sect. I've always sent people to keep an eye on it. After he left, I didn't care about it anymore. I didn't expect you to be hiding in this weapon refinery. 50 years ago, the White Fox tribe started recruiting human cultivators who were proficient in pill refinery, weapon refinery, and talisman arrays. At that time, I felt that it was a little strange and sent people to investigate the situation of the White Fox tribe. At that time, the White Fox tribe was fighting with the bloodthirsty Ash Wolf pack. The bloodthirsty Ash Wolf tribe was indeed an extremely powerful tribe among the demon race. They had as many as 6 rank 4 wolf kings. However, their internal structure was also a sheet of loose sand. The rank 4 wolf kings didn't submit to each other and each occupied different territories. There wasn't much interaction between them. In the northeast direction of the White Fox tribe, there was a bloodthirsty Ash Wolf pack. This wolf pack was very powerful. Other than the rank 4 wolf king, there were also 20 rank 3 wolf demons. The wolf pack relied on their tyrannical strength and often bullied the surrounding half-demon tribes. Even some of the weaker demon races nearby were bullied by them. More than 70 years ago, the wolf king of this wolf pack had a conflict with a demon king in the sky/mountain range and was severely injured. Moreover, his foundation was injured and there was no hope of recovery. Not only was his cultivation unable to improve, he had to avoid fighting as much as possible. Although the wolf pack tried their best to cover it up, there was no such thing as an absolute secret. This matter was still known by a few half-demon tribes. The surrounding half-demon tribes that were bullied by the wolf pack joined forces to deal with the wolf pack. The Silver Fox tribe joined forces with the White Fox tribe. The Silver Fox tribe had a golden core half-demon. However, his strength was far inferior to the Ash Wolf King. In the past, he didn't dare to fight the wolf pack head-on. Now that the Ash Wolf King was half-crippled and didn't dare to show himself, the half-demon tribes were emboldened and naturally dared to fight the wolf pack. The tribes also didn't dare to push too hard. They were afraid that the Ash Wolf King would fight to the death and cause too much damage to them. Therefore, all these years, there were only small conflicts. In a small-scale war of attrition, the half-demons had the advantage because they could use human artifacts, talismans, and formations. This was also the reason why the White Fox tribe recruited rogue cultivators for more than 50 years. As for why it suddenly became so big and started killing rank 3 wolf demons, my people are also investigating. Why are you interested in this matter? Is the Wang family planning to expand to the north of the mountain? Wu Yi's clone shook his head and said, the Wang family naturally won't expand to the north of the mountain. We just want to see if there's a chance to cause trouble. If we can cause a war between the demon race and the half-demons, the human race will have a chance to completely occupy the north of the mountain. Then, the Wang family won't have to worry about the north being unstable. Of course, Wang Daoyuan wasn't thinking about this. He was worried about the path that the 10,000 corpse Daoyuan took to the north of the mountain. According to the records in the vast sea observation log, the place where the 10,000 corpse Daoyuan crossed the sky/mountain range was not far from the White Fox tribe's territory. He also planned to migrate some of his tribesmen from there and take root in the east of the sky/mountain range to build the third cave for his family. Now that there were half-demon tribes and wolf packs over there, it was too risky to migrate his tribesmen under their noses. It was better to muddy the waters and let both sides suffer losses so that it would be easier for him to do things. Wang Daoyuan asked, do you have any missions to hunt demons and half-demons? Zhou Wan said without hesitation, the Blood Shadow will accept missions from humans and half-demons, but not demons. After all, the founder started by killing other races, and half-demons can barely be considered humans. There are missions to kill demons and half-demons. Do you want to take these missions? The Blood Shadow founder should have started by killing demons when the demons invaded more than 70,000 years ago, right? What does it have to do with demons? Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, give the 2 stewards under the Black Sable a mission to assassinate the bloodthirsty Ash Wolf. I'll see if I can control a wolf demon or half-demon to investigate the situation. This time, Zhou Wan was a little surprised and asked, how do you know about the demon's invasion more than 70,000 years ago? No one knows about this except for the top forces that inherited it before the demon's invasion. Even the top forces were ordered to destroy these records after the war. Among the top forces in Beiyuan Xiaofan today, only the Blood Shadow knows the details. The other forces only know some incomplete information. Wang Daoyuan not only knew about this matter, but also experienced it himself. He replied, I received the inheritance of an ancient cultivator, so I mentioned some of these things. Zhou Wan didn't ask about the demon's invasion anymore and said, in that case, let the 2 stewards kill the bloodthirsty Ash Wolf. Chapter 373. After Wang Daoyuan obtained the information he wanted, he asked casually, can I exchange Blood Shadow for Tai Gold Essence? 3rd or 4th grade is fine. Even if I don't have any ready-made ones, some information will do. Among the materials needed to refine a natal Dharma artifact, only the Vermilion Bird Fan's materials were easier to find. The other materials were too rare, and he didn't have much hope of finding them himself. Inquiring about the materials needed to refine a natal Dharma artifact was one of Wang Daoyuan's main goals in entering Blood Shadow. The White Tiger Blade was the main offensive Dharma artifact in a set of Dharma artifacts. Without the White Tiger Blade, one could only rely on spells to attack. Spells consumed too much of one's consciousness, unlike natal dharma artifacts, which could be used according to one's will. When he fought with Zhou Wan, her sword didn't consume any consciousness at all, which made Wang Daoyuan very envious. When using a natal dharma artifact against an enemy, although it wouldn't reduce the consumption of spiritual power, it could reduce the consumption of consciousness. Wang Daoyuan had spiritual wine, so he didn't care about the consumption of spiritual power. Reducing the consumption of consciousness was very important. Zhou Wan smiled and said, "Do you still need pseudo-dragon balls, earth essence, heaven-suppressing stone, and the natal feather of a fire-elemental demon bird?" He had penta-spiritual roots, and when he fought with Zhou Wan, he exposed his black tortoise shield and black tortoise avatar. She wasn't a fool, so she definitely guessed that he had a 5-elemental divine beast avatar. If he were to refine a natal dharma artifact, it would definitely be divided into 5 elements. However, she knew the main materials of other dharma artifacts, which made Wang Daoyuan very surprised. Wang Daoyuan and she weren't face to face, so she couldn't see Wang Daoyuan's expression. Wang Daoyuan didn't speak for a long time. Zhou Wan said, "Don't think about how to quibble. The 5-elemental devil suppression seal isn't a secret. Venerable Devil Suppression Master was from the era when the various nations were fighting for hegemony. He was also the last golden core cultivator with penta-spiritual roots in Beiyuan Xiaofan. In the southern wasteland, he got this title after quelling the chaos of the fiendish cultivators. Back then, he was also known to be invincible among his peers. I've seen his information. The Netherworld School had acquired the legacy of the 5 elements devil-subduing seal, but didn't have any Zifu disciples with pentaspirit roots. Thus, they didn't take it seriously, and so the legacy remained within the Netherworld School for hundreds of years. Blood Shadow had arranged people in the Underworld sect. Blood Shadow knew all the non-core inheritances of the Underworld sect. However, the requirements for the 5 elements fiend suppression seal were too high. Even for cultivators with 5 spirit roots, if their purple mansion phenomenons were not strong enough, they would not be able to unleash much of the power of this set of destiny dermic weapons. It's only been a few years since you opened your Violet Palace realm, but the Black Tortoise Shield is already so powerful. It should be the manifestation of the 5 elements divine beast, right? The Shanbei branch did not have materials of level 3 and above, but the headquarters did have Tai Essence Gold. Even if he couldn't get a Tier 4 one, there was still hope for a Tier 3 one. However, my enemy is at the headquarters, so I definitely won't be able to apply. When you become the Vice Hall Master, you will have a chance to get it. Of the other magic tools, the Vermilion Bird Fan requires the simplest materials, which you can obtain on your own. Even Blood Shadow couldn't gather the materials for the Kirin seal. The headquarters does have pseudo-dragon balls, but it's hard for even the direct disciples to get them. You definitely won't have a chance. I'll help you keep an eye out for news of dragon seeds. I still have to remind you that Luo Jiuyo isn't a good person. There might be some dirty tricks in the refining method of the 5 elements fiend suppression seal. Be careful. Wang Daoyuan smiled. Thank you for the reminder. I'll leave the materials to you. I'll be living off a woman for once. Zhou Wan pretended to be angry. You're not living off a woman for nothing. If you want to live off a woman, you'll have to pay the price. If there's nothing else, scram. Wu Yi's clone left Zhou Wan's cave abode. Wang Daoyuan no longer sensed Wu Yi's panoramic view. At this moment, Bai Sheng's clone had finished processing the 2 bloodthirsty wolf fangs. Among magic tools, flying swords were the easiest to refine. Most flying swords only had a few patterns, and they were the most basic ones. Wang Daoyuan used only 3 days to refine 2 wolf fang swords. There were still some leftovers of the grade 3 metal auxiliary materials that Bai Ying sent. Although there were very few of them, Wang Daoyuan kept them properly. Who knew when they would come in handy? Children of poor people matured early. It was not easy to get a few grade 3 materials, so they could not be wasted. After handing the 2 flying swords to Bai Ying, Wang Daoyuan continued to nurture magic tools in the refining workshop. In the next few months, Bai Ying would come to the refining workshop once or twice a month to ask him to help refine magic tools. Without exception, the materials were all the bones of grade 3 bloodthirsty wolves. In total, at least 5 rank 3 bloodthirsty ash wolves had been killed. At this moment, Zhou also sent a letter saying that the task had been arranged. The task this time was relatively big. They needed to send out 3 peak foundation establishment cultivators, which meant that they needed to send out 3 stewards. If not, the mystic Martin would not have agreed to send out 2 of its stewards. This task was jointly issued by the White Fox tribe and the Silver Fox tribe, and the reward was 400,000 spirit stones. As long as Blood Shadow sent out enough people, they would have to give it regardless of whether they succeeded or not. In the past few months, the half-demon tribes had been ruthless to the wolves. In a short period of time, the bloodthirsty wolves had lost more than a quarter of their core strength. The Wolf King was also severely injured and did not dare to make a move. If this carried on, the entire wolf pack would be annihilated. The Wolf King also put down its pride and asked for help from the other wolf packs. Initially, the grade 4 wolf kings only wanted to suppress the other wolf kings because they wanted to compete with each other. In the face of the survival of their tribe, this little grudge was nothing. The Wolf King might send out a group of grade 2 wolf demons to seek help from the other wolf packs. The time to seek help might be within a month. The territory of the wolf pack that the White Fox tribe was dealing with was Blood Wolf Mountain. It was a grade 3 spirit mountain located at the edge of the Heaven/Mountain Range. Blood Wolf Mountain was more than 13,000 miles northeast of Wild Goose Town. The White Fox tribe was southwest, the Silver Fox tribe was west, and a few weaker half-demon tribes were north. As for the other bloodthirsty wolves, the closest one to Blood Wolf Mountain was 20,000 miles away. If the bloodthirsty wolves wanted to send a message, they could only pass through the gaps between the territories of the other tribes or take a detour through the Heaven/Mountain Range. Most demon beasts had their own territories and had been running around the Heaven/Mountain Range. If they met a powerful demon beast, they would be dead. If a grade 2 wolf wanted to send a message, the paths it could choose were limited. The half-demon tribes had deduced more than 10 possible paths. They did not have enough manpower and could not guarantee that they could block all the paths. That was why they issued a reward to Blood Shadow. As long as Blood Shadow could block 3 paths, they would be able to get 400,000 spirit stones. If they could kill a wolf demon, they would be able to get 20,000 spirit stones. If Blood Shadow lost people, a late-stage foundation establishment would be able to get 20,000 spirit stones. A peak foundation establishment would be able to get 50,000 spirit stones. People below late-stage foundation establishment were naturally not suitable to participate in this mission. The territory of the half-demon tribes in the north of the mountain was not small and they had many industries. Some of the larger tribes even had spirit stone mines in their territories and did not lack spirit stones. They were really generous. Hundreds of thousands of spirit stones just to get Blood Shadow's people to help block 3 paths. As for the bloodthirsty wolves, it was too conspicuous to send out a grade 3 wolf demon. Moreover, they did not have enough high-end combat strength. If they sent out a grade 3 wolf demon, they would be killed even faster if an accident happened. Only sending out a foundation establishment cultivator was very suitable for Blood Shadow. The north of the mountain only had 2 Zifu realm cultivators. Zifu realm cultivators were too conspicuous. Blood Shadow, as an underground faction, naturally did not want to attract too much attention. There was no free lunch in the world. The half-demons did not want to spend spirit stones for nothing. The 3 paths left for Blood Shadow were all within the Heaven/Mountain Range. It was too risky for the wolf demons to travel through the territories of the half-demon tribes. Half-demons could fly on their swords. If they were discovered, a few grade 2 demon beasts would not be able to escape. If they went through the heaven/mountain range, the chances of being discovered were much lower. Furthermore, demon beasts could not fly. If they were discovered, they would have a chance to escape. Therefore, the wolf demons were more likely to appear in the 3 paths that Blood Shadow was in charge of. Moreover, during the battle, they might anger other demon beasts and there would be casualties. Chapter 374. The reward for this mission was very generous, but the risk was also very high. The wolf pack of Blood Wolf Mountain had 20 rank 3 wolf demons, and there were at least hundreds of rank 2 wolf demons. Moreover, the bloodthirsty Ash Wolf could produce a rank 4 wolf king. Their bloodline was relatively strong, and their innate spells were definitely not weak. Coupled with the guidance of the Wolf King and rank 3 wolf demons, these rank 2 wolf demons might have mastered many innate spells. In a head-on confrontation, a late-stage Foundation Establishment cultivator might not be a match for an upper-grade rank 2 bloodthirsty Ash Wolf. The advantage of a human Foundation Establishment cultivator was not in a head-on confrontation, but in the ability to fly on swords and set up formations. It was not difficult to set up formations on the 3 paths and kill a group of rank 2 bloodthirsty Ash Wolves. However, Wang Daoyuan did not want to succeed completely this time. If they could stop all the bloodthirsty Ash Wolves, the half-demon tribes would be able to destroy the Blood Wolf Mountain Wolf pack very quickly. After that, the matter would be over and the excitement would be over. The Blood Wolf Mountain area would also completely become the territory of the half-demons. The path that the 10,000 Corpse Daoist used to cross the sky/mountain range was right under the nose of these half-demon tribes. At that time, it would be difficult for him to go and investigate himself, let alone bring his tribesmen over. The Blood Wolf Mountain Wolf pack could not be destroyed for the time being, and he had to make a big deal out of it. The demons and half-demons in the north of the mountain were enemies, so that they could fish in troubled waters. On the big picture, this was for the sake of the human race. Weakening the demons and half-demons would allow the human race to occupy more territory. On the small side, the northern branch of the Blood Shadow Mountain would have more business in the future. It would be more convenient for him and his clone to earn contribution points and exchange for precious resources. In addition, he planned to follow the path of the 10,000 Corpse Daoist to the east of the sky/mountain range and build the 3rd cave for his family. Of course, the demons and half-demons were scattered sand. The half-demon tribes and demon beast groups were not under each other. Even if the bloodthirsty Ash Wolf Kings joined forces, and the White Fox and Silver Fox tribes roped in a few half-demon tribes to fight against the bloodthirsty Ash Wolves, it would not cause chaos in the north of the mountain. However, as the saying goes, birds of a feather flock together. Once there was a conflict, the bystanders would subconsciously support the side that was more similar to them. The half-monster tribes and the bloodthirsty Ash Wolves were enemies. Most of the half-monster tribes supported the White Fox and the other half-monster tribes, while most of the monsters supported the bloodthirsty Ash Wolves. Even if they only gave him moral support, it would cause animosity between the demi-demons and demi-demons after a long time. This would sow the seeds of a major conflict between the two sides in the future. Even if it wouldn't be used for a long time in the future, it wouldn't hurt to make a move first. Anyway, he didn't have to pay any price. He just had to raise his hand and release a few wolf demons. Perhaps decades or even centuries later, this casual move would be of great use. 3 days later, the people from the Shanbei branch set off. Zhou Wan also followed Wang Daoyuan's advice to clean up the group of unreliable subordinates. The 3 stewards sent out this time were Wu Yi, Lu Zong, and Mou, who was under the Black Marten. Wu Yi and Lu Zong each brought 3 late-stage Foundation Establishment cultivators. Of these 6 late-stage Foundation establishment cultivators, 3 of them were Yu Lang's trusted aides. The other 3 were also Wu Yi and Lu Zong's underlings. If Zhou Wan wanted to pretend to be weak, she would have to clean up this group of people sooner or later. She could use this opportunity to kill them and get some compensation from the demidemons. It could be considered as making use of trash. Mou was considered the Black Marten's trusted aide. He was also a direct descendant of Blood Shadow. The Black Marten brought him from the headquarters. The Black Marten had absolute trust in Mou. Since it could control Mou, it would be much easier to trick the Black Marten. Mou also brought 3 late-stage Foundation establishment cultivators. They were all experts under the Black Marten. One of them was a direct subordinate of the Black Marten. This trip to intercept the bloodthirsty ash wolves mainly relied on the formation. Therefore, not many people went. The territory of the Blood Wolf Mountain wolves was not small. It was more than 2,000 miles north of the Blood Wolf Mountain. More than 2,000 miles away, there were a few weak demi-demon tribes. To the east of these demi-demon tribes was a mountain range called the Clear Stream Mountain. The Clear Stream Mountain was within the range of the Heaven/Mountain Range. It ran from north to south. It stretched for more than 5,000 miles north of the demi-demon tribe's territory. Some of the wolves went to ask for help. In order to avoid being intercepted by the demi-demons, they had to go around the demi-demon tribe from the east of the Clear Stream Mountain. Of course, the wolves did not dare to cross 5,000 miles within the range of the Heaven/Mountain Range. The mountain was also the territory of other beasts. If they wanted to leave the range of the Heaven/Mountain Range, they had to go through a few mountain passes in the Clear Stream Mountain. The Clear Stream Mountain was north of the demi-demon tribe. There were 3 mountain passes. They were the 3 paths that Blood Shadow had to defend. The South Mountain Pass was less than 500 miles away from the demi-demon tribe. The Middle Mountain Pass was more than 700 miles north of the South Mountain Pass. The Northern Mountain Pass was more than 800 miles north of the South Mountain Pass. The South Mountain Pass was too close to the demi-demon tribe. The chances of the wolves passing through there was not high. Further north of the Northern Mountain Pass was more than 2,000 miles of mountain range. If the wolves continued north, they would have to go around the entire mountain range. It was too risky. Therefore, the Middle Mountain Pass and the Northern Mountain Pass were the easiest to encounter the wolves. Wu Yi guarded the Southern Mountain Pass. Mou guarded the Middle Mountain Pass. Lu Zong guarded the Northern Mountain Pass. Wang Daoyuan hid his tracks and followed behind Mou. Soon, they arrived at the Middle Mountain Pass. This mountain pass was more than 10 miles long from east to west and 2,000 feet wide from north to south. On the 2 sides were mountains that were thousands of feet high. They were occupied by rank 3 beasts. Mou brought a set of formation discs. This was a high-grade rank 2 formation, Golden Sword Demon Slaying Formation. After the 4 of them arrived at the mountain pass, they immediately set up the formation disc and installed spirit stones in the middle of the mountain pass. After setting up the formation, the 3 late-stage Foundation establishment cultivators hid. Mou hid near the core formation disc. Wang Daoyuan used the spirit concealment technique and hid halfway up the mountain. The rank 3 beasts on the mountain did not notice him at all. After waiting for half a month, 10 50-feet-long black wolves appeared in the range of Wang Daoyuan's spiritual sense. These fellows had fangs that were more than 2 feet long. They were indeed bloodthirsty ash wolves. Their cultivation was high-grade rank 2. They came to the east side of the mountain pass. They did not observe carefully and just charged in. Soon, they entered the range of the formation. Mou immediately activated the formation. It covered an area of 3,000 feet. Within the range of the formation, golden sword phantoms flew up and down, constantly attacking the bloodthirsty ash wolves. These bloodthirsty ash wolves were beaten black and blue. They wanted to rush out of the range of the formation in one fell swoop. 3 Foundation establishment cultivators appeared and blocked the path of the wolf demons. They did not fight the wolf demons head-on. They just delayed them. With the cooperation of the formation, the 3 of them easily blocked the remaining 10 wolf demons. After a dozen breaths of time, 3 wolf demons were killed. If this continued, in less than half a cup of tea's time, all the wolf demons would die. If it was before opening the Purple Mansion, it would have taken some effort to trick Mou and let a few wolf demons go. Now, his spiritual sense had greatly improved. He could interfere with the spells cast by Foundation establishment cultivators. A late-stage Foundation establishment cultivator controlled a flying sword to attack the eyes of a wolf. Wang Daoyuan used the power of his spiritual sense to divert the flying sword. The flying sword hit a formation disc and landed on top of it. Fortunately, they buried the formation disc deep. This sword only shattered the soil and stones on the formation disc, exposing it. It did not hurt the formation disc. The wolf demons were not stupid. When they saw the formation disc, they immediately pounced on it and smashed it. The golden sword demon slaying formation was instantly broken. Without the protection of the formation, the 3 Foundation establishment cultivators in front of the wolf pack were killed by the wolf pack. Mou reacted quickly and immediately flew into the air on his sword. Seeing that they could not kill him, the wolf pack ignored him and fled the mountain pass. After the wolf demon escaped, Mou just so happened to fly near the place where Wang Daoyuan was hiding. It saved him a lot of effort. A soul-splitting blade slashed out, aiming at Mou's forehead. Then, he took out a soul-nurturing pendant, took out a part of his soul and injected it into Mou's sea of consciousness. He put Mou into the space of the spirit pearl and dealt with the corpses of the 3 Foundation establishment cultivators. He then left on his sword. Chapter 375. After settling Mou's matter, Wang Daoyuan sensed the situation of his 2 clones. Only 3 bloodthirsty ash wolves came from Wuxia's side. With the help of the array formation, they easily dealt with all the wolf demons. Unfortunately, he did not have the chance to kill his 3 unreliable subordinates. Lu Zong's side sent 15 bloodthirsty ash wolves and he deliberately went easy on them. All 3 of his subordinates died in battle and the array formation was broken, but 3 ash wolves still managed to escape. The 2 clones put away the fangs of the ash wolves and left the mountain pass. The bloodthirsty ash wolves were too big for the 2 of them and could only use their fangs as proof. After all, the most valuable thing on the bloodthirsty ash wolves was their fangs, which could be used as the main material of a flying sword. After taking down Mou, Wang Daoyuan left the 3 bloodthirsty ash wolves killed at the mountain pass for his clone Lu Zong to handle. He casually found a hidden place to stay for a while. After his split soul completely controlled his clone, he released him and let him return to returning Wild Goose City on his own. Unfortunately, although Mou was a member of Blood Shadow's headquarters, his father could only barely be considered as a mid-level member of Blood Shadow. His own talent was not great either. Therefore, he did not know what secrets Blood Shadow had. The dermic arts he cultivated were also very ordinary and there was nothing that Wang Daoyuan took a fancy to. After dealing with everything, Wang Daoyuan also returned to returning Wild Goose City on his sword and waited for his clone Mou to arrange for him to infiltrate Blood Shadow. Wu Yi and Lu Zong had already returned to the Shanbei branch. During this trip, they killed 18 Class 2 superior-grade bloodthirsty ash wolves and lost 6 late-stage Foundation establishment cultivators. The half-demons had to pay Blood Shadow a total of 880,000 spirit stones. Although they did not achieve the ultimate goal of killing them, the half-demons did not dare to not pay the spirit stones. Since Blood Shadow contacted them, they naturally knew of Blood Shadow's methods. Of the 880,000 spirit stones, the 120,000 spirit stones that were compensated for the deaths of 6 people were split between the hall master and deputy hall master. As for the remaining 760,000 spirit stones, 400,000 were handed over and the remaining spirit stones were split between those who carried out the mission. The 3 stewards each received 100,000 spirit stones while the remaining 3 late-stage Foundation establishment cultivators received 60,000 spirit stones. These 3 stewards were all clones of Wang Daoyuan, so the spirit stones naturally fell into Wang Daoyuan's hands. This time, the Black Sable lost 3 elite subordinates and was very distressed. Mou took the opportunity to volunteer and took over the job of recruiting manpower. Of course, he could not directly pull Wang Daoyuan into Blood Shadow. The Avatar Mou first subdued a broker called Luo Song from returning Wild Goose City Square. This Luo Song was quite similar to Fu Cheng from back then. However, Luo Song's talent was better and he was not old. He was only in his 40s and his cultivation level was at the 6th level of Qi refinement. If he had sufficient resources, he would have a chance to build his foundation in the future. It was relatively easy to lure such a person. Mou promised him resources and the opportunity to exchange for building foundation pills. Luo Song still had hope in his path of cultivation, so he naturally couldn't refuse this condition. Mou easily took Luo Song as his subordinate. Then, with Luo Song's help, he recruited 7 or 8 late-stage Qi refinement cultivators and 2 early-stage Foundation establishment cultivators. In order to make the act more realistic, Wang Daoyuan disguised himself as a peak-stage Foundation establishment cultivator who was working hard to pick herbs. He looked to be around 150 or 160 years old and attracted Luo Song's attention. Then, Mou went to contact Wang Daoyuan. The first mission that Mou gave Wang Daoyuan was to kill an evil cultivator at the 9th level of Foundation establishment. This task was naturally easy for Wang Daoyuan. After killing the evil cultivator at the 9th level of Foundation establishment, he successfully entered Blood Shadow and gave himself the nickname Hell Tiger. He also received 10,000 spirit stones and 10,000 contribution points because of the mission. The Black Sable was also very satisfied with Wang Daoyuan as a subordinate and arranged a few missions for him that were quite profitable. He stayed in Blood Shadow for half a year and completed 5 missions. The Black Sable saw the hope of competing with Zhou Wan and proposed to appoint Wang Daoyuan as a steward. Wang Daoyuan was called to the meeting hall. Although his doppelganger had been here many times, it was the first time for his main body. In the main hall, Zhou Wan sat high up in the seat of honor. The Black Sable and Wu Yi sat on her left and right respectively. Mou also sat below the Black Sable. Wang Daoyuan walked into the hall and bowed to everyone. He had no choice. He was only an ordinary member of Blood Shadow now. The other 4 people had higher positions than him. After bowing, Zhou Wan asked, "Hell Tiger, you just joined Blood Shadow for half a year. It's too early for you to be a steward. In my opinion, it's better for you to train for a few more years before you become a steward." Wang Daoyuan glanced at the Black Sable. The Black Sable said, "Don't be afraid of her. Just say what you want to say. If anything happens, I'll take responsibility for you." With this guarantee, he could put on a more realistic show. He pretended to be indignant and asked, "I heard from Lord Mou that Yu Lang was promoted to a steward by another hall master after joining Blood Shadow for 2 or 3 months. That trash was killed when he went out and died without knowing why. Lord Lu Zong was the same. He joined Blood Shadow for less than half a year and became a steward. In this half a year, I killed 6 Foundation establishment late-stage cultivators. Steward Wu and Steward Lu are far inferior to me. Yu Lang can't even be compared to me. Why can Yu Lang become a steward after joining the branch for 2 or 3 months, but I can't? Could it be that the Hall Master is abusing his position for personal gain? I was recruited into Blood Shadow by Lord Mou, so the Hall Master is suppressing me? As soon as he said this, Xiaofan stood up. Fire attribute spiritual power surged all over her body. She looked like she was going to attack at any time. The Black Sable immediately stood in front of Wang Daoyuan and laughed. Why is the Hall Master so angry? Hell Tiger only said a few words of truth, and the Hall Master can't tolerate it? Xiaofan was at a disadvantage. Wu Yi immediately stood up and said, Hell Tiger just joined, so it's hard to say how strong he is. When I became a steward, I was given a mission to test my loyalty and strength. Why don't we arrange a test for Hell Tiger now? If he can pass it, he can be a steward. If he can't pass the test, we'll wait a few years. How about that? Mou also retorted, you were only at Foundation Establishment Level 8 at that time, and you haven't returned for many years. That's why we arranged a test for you. Although you passed the test in the end, you also lost a lot of people. Hell Tiger can kill Foundation Establishment late-stage cultivators like cutting vegetables. With this strength, what other tests do you need? Wu Yi wanted to say something more, but Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, if Lord Wu Yi wants to test my strength, I can compete with you and see how strong Lord Wu Yi is in fights of magical powers. Wu Yi was not very strong in fights of magical powers, so he didn't say anything more. Wang Daoyuan heaved a sigh of relief. It was really tiring for one person to act a show for 3 people. Fortunately, Lu Zong was not here. Otherwise, it would be really tiring for one person to act a show for 4 people. Wu Yi was refuted until he was speechless. Xiaofan naturally could not stand by and watch. She sneered and said, Hell Tiger's strength is not weak. It's just that with such strength, he is willing to join Blood Shadow. Who knows if he has ulterior motives? The Black Marten said angrily, Scarlet Fox, don't go too far. Hell Tiger joined Blood Shadow for the Yin-Yang Purple Jade. Itinerant cultivators joining Blood Shadow. Which one of them doesn't want to take a step forward on the path of Tao? If this is considered an ulterior motive, then how many cultivators in the entire Beiyuan Xiuxian can be found who doesn't have ulterior motives? The headquarters gives out a piece of Yin-Yang Purple Jade every 100 years to recruit itinerant cultivators like Hell Tiger. If you break the sex rules for your own selfish reasons, don't blame me for reporting to the headquarters. At that time, when Blood Wolf's people come to enforce the law, it will be too late to regret. Xiaofan pretended to be a little flustered and was silent for a long time before saying, all right, I agree to let Hell Tiger be the manager. If there are any problems in the future, you will bear all the responsibility. The Black Marten snorted and said, you don't have to worry about that. Chapter 376. The Sable led Wang Daoyuan and Mou out of the meeting hall, then returned to their respective residences. 2 days later, the Sable sent someone to invite Wang Daoyuan to her residence for a chat. Wang Daoyuan knew that the steward's medallion was ready, so he immediately rushed to the Sable's residence. Arriving at the entrance of the Black Marten's abode, the door automatically opened, and Wang Daoyuan walked straight in. The Sable's residence was very simple, no different from the residences of ordinary Foundation Establishment cultivators. It seemed that she didn't plan on staying here for too long. From the looks of it, this cave residence was quite thrifty. It was just that they wore too many clothes. They wore 3 layers on the inside and 3 layers on the outside. They even wore a black hooded cloak. Did they not know how to save on cloth? The Sable's other 2 stewards were also present. One was his clone, Mou, and the other was Jackdaw. Jackdaw wasn't a direct descendant of Blood Shadow. He was also a wandering cultivator that the Sable had recruited after arriving at the Shanbei branch. However, he'd been recruited relatively early. He'd been taken in by the Sable when he was only at the mid-stage of chi refinement. He'd been with the Sable for more than 100 years now, and was the Sable's most trusted subordinate. Jackdaw was also one of Wang Daoyuan's targets for creating a clone. After taking him in, 4 of the 5 stewards would be his clones, and the last one would be himself. Once he became the Vice Hall Master and the Sable was transferred away, he'd truly be able to cover the sky with one hand. Seeing him arrive, the Sable handed him a medallion and said, "From now on, you're the 5th steward. Although you haven't been here for long, you should be able to see that I don't get along with the Hall Master. That bitch Scarlet Fox may control most of the power in the branch, but she'll never be able to rise again. She used to be a member of the headquarters Blood Wolf, and one of the best among them. She opened her Violet Palace before the age of 80. A genius like her should have reached the late stage of the Violet Palace realm at the age of 200. However, she's still a mid-stage Violet Palace realm cultivator. Do you know why?" Wang Daoyuan realized that the Sable was quite vain and liked to be acknowledged by others. He was a professional at playing mind games. He immediately revealed a curious look and shook his head. The Black Marten was very satisfied with his reaction and continued, "She offended a Jindan stage ancestor from the Blood Shadow headquarters. He is one of the top figures in the Blood Shadow headquarters. Normally, people like Crimson Fox should stay at the headquarters and be specially fostered by Golden Core realm cultivators, and once they attained the advanced stage of the Violet Palace realm, they would directly enter the higher-ups. In the future, it would not be impossible for him to form his Golden Core and become an important figure in the headquarters. She had been sent to the barren land of Shanbei as a form of exile. This returning Wild Goose City Square only had one lower tier, 3 spiritual vein, which severely affected her cultivation speed. In addition, she needed to refine her prime magic artifact, which consumed an extremely large amount of spiritual energy and quintessential essence. If she wanted to cultivate to the late stage of the Zifu realm, it would take her another 100 years. He could forget about forming a golden core for the rest of his life. The people under her, no matter how capable they were at most a steward. I was sent by that golden core ancestor to deal with Scarlet Fox. So long as you have the ability to break through to the Zifu realm in the future, you can suppress that bitch Scarlet Fox. I'll be able to leave this barren land and return to the headquarters, and the position of Vice Hall Master will be yours. If you do well, you can be transferred to a wealthy branch as a Hall Master, or even be transferred back to the headquarters. It's not impossible for you to enter the upper echelons of the headquarters." Wang Daoyuan hastily declined. "This subordinate dares not. Jackdaw and Ink Feather came here before me. This subordinate dares not covet the position of Vice Hall Master." The Sable let out a long sigh. "Jackdaw and Mo aren't very talented. This is the end of their cultivation. Their comprehension is lacking, and they won't be able to comprehend the Violet Palace realm, much less establish one. I've long since given them the insights to break through to the Violet Palace realm, but they still haven't touched the edge of the Violet Palace realm. If that wasn't the case, I would have returned to the headquarters long ago. Why would I be stuck here for 100 years? Your talent is better than both of them. I hope you can establish your Violet Palace realm soon. I'll leave my position open for you." Wang Daoyuan immediately bowed. This subordinate will do his best to live up to Vice Hall Master's expectations. The Sable nodded in satisfaction. "Very good. You've become a steward, but you can't be without subordinates. I've lost many of my direct subordinates over the years, so I won't transfer them to you directly. Jackdaw and Ink Feather, each of you transfer a few subordinates to Minghu. You can handle this in private. Don't be too stingy. Who knows, Minghu might become your superior in the future." Jackdaw and Ink Feather nodded repeatedly. The 3 left the Sable's residence and went to Wang Daoyuan's residence to discuss the issue of manpower. In the end, Neither of them gave Wang Daoyuan 10 late and peak qi condensation cultivators, and 2 early foundation establishment cultivators. Ink Feather even transferred Luo Song to Wang Daoyuan. With the help of brokers, the recruitment process was naturally quick. In order to speed things up, Wang Daoyuan also recruited a few brokers without any backing. Now, half of the brokers in the entire Guiyan market were in his hands. Although brokers had low cultivation levels and didn't have any skills, they all had a large network of connections. However, each of them had quite a large network of connections in their hands. They were still very good at finding people and inquiring about information. Of course, their ability to gather information was far inferior to Bloodshadow's intelligence organization. In the past, when Wu Yi's clone expanded his manpower, he searched for people based on the list provided by brokers. Although this ensured that his subordinates were more loyal and prevented them from forming small groups, the efficiency was too low. After Wang Daoyuan recruited 2 clever mid-foundation establishment cultivators, he gave them the authority to recruit people. He would only personally act if he met a suitable late foundation establishment cultivator. In order to let them recruit people wholeheartedly, they would receive 100 contribution points and 100 spirit stones for every late qi condensation cultivator they recruited. For every foundation establishment cultivator they recruited, they would receive 1,000 to 2,000 contribution points and spirit stones. Of course, Wang Daoyuan wouldn't let them recruit people on the streets. The targets were still personally selected by Wang Daoyuan. He himself would do his best to carry out missions to earn spirit stones. On average, he would carry out a mission every half a month. Each mission would earn him between 5 to 6,000 to 10,000 spirit stones. A Zifu realm cultivator carrying out a mission for a foundation establishment cultivator would naturally be successful. Those dangerous missions that had been abandoned for decades or even centuries were mostly cleared by Wang Daoyuan. After a few years, Wang Daoyuan already had more than 200 qi condensation cultivators and 20 foundation establishment cultivators under his command. Among them, there were 3 late foundation establishment cultivators. The strength of his subordinates had already surpassed Wu Yi's clone. Scarlet Fox hadn't been idle these few years. He had properly dealt with Yu Lang's subordinates and took in a few reliable ones as his direct subordinates. The other subordinates that were arranged to carry out missions with high returns but also high risks were almost all dead by now. Now, the Mystic Sable had 3 stewards and Zhou Luan had 2. In terms of the number of cultivators under her command, the Mystic Sable also had a considerable advantage. After being suppressed by Zhou Luan for decades, she had regained her advantage with the help of Wang Daoyuan. Her attitude towards Wang Daoyuan was naturally very good. In addition, Wang Daoyuan's flattery skills were not bad. He grasped her vanity and often made her laugh heartily. Now, Wang Daoyuan's trust had already surpassed Jackdaw's and was second only to Mou, whom the Mystic Sable had brought from the headquarters. In these few years, he had also frequently entered the Mystic Sable's cave abode. Fortunately, the Mystic Sable was more conservative. If she was like Zhou Luan, she would tease him from time to time. These days, she would run to her cave abode every 2 to 3 days. A man and a woman would often be alone in a room. The baby would probably know how to play soy sauce. Now, the time was ripe. It was also time to send away Wu Yi's clone and let the Mystic Sable have the absolute advantage. Chapter 377. Wang Daoyuan controlled Wu Yi's clone to discuss with Zhou Luan how to make Wu Yi's death more natural. Zhou Luan was already prepared and had arranged a suicide mission for Wu Yi. It was really easy to work with smart people. The mission Zhou Luan arranged for Wu Yi was to kill a late-stage foundation establishment leader of the Crimson Beard Bandits. Although the 2 leaders of the Crimson Beard Bandits had yet to establish their Violet Palace, they were half demons and had longer lifespans than humans. They had plenty of time. In the past few years, they had been constantly recruiting and had more than 10 foundation establishment cultivators under their command. Among them, there were 3 late-stage foundation establishment cultivators. Zhou Yuan carried out Wang Daoyuan's plan to raise pigs. When she had nothing to do, she would kill a few of the Crimson Beard Bandits' leaders and make them go crazy and plunder everywhere. The bounties for the leaders of the Crimson Beard Bandits were rapidly increasing. This late-stage foundation establishment cultivator was the 4th leader of the Crimson Beard Bandits, second only to the Crimson Beard brothers and Feng Linchuan. Feng Linchuan was a wind attribute cultivator and was very strong in battle. He went out to work more often and his status also rose. Now, he was also a peak foundation establishment cultivator and had a high chance of establishing his Violet Palace. Wu Yi's target was the 4th leader. His cultivation had already reached the 9th stage of foundation establishment. His battle prowess wasn't outstanding, but he was vicious and merciless. Every time he went out to plunder, he didn't leave anyone alive. As a result, his bounty was the fastest to rise. He had only joined the Crimson Beard Bandits 30 years ago and his bounty had already reached 200,000 spirit stones. Although this person didn't seem to have any abilities, Zhou Yuan had received the latest information that this 4th leader wasn't simple. He had a powerful trump card in his hand. His trump card was a low-grade 3rd-grade artifact nurturing gourd. Inside the gourd was a set of low-grade 3rd-grade mother-child needles. This set of needles was divided into a mother needle and 9 child needles. The mother needle could be used to control the child needles. Moreover, the 4th leader often filled the artifact nurturing gourd with poison to increase the killing power of the needles. Cultivators below the Violet Palace realm would find it very difficult to block the needles when they were caught off guard. After Zhou Yuan learned of this information, she immediately detained him. Currently, in the Blood Shadow Mountains northern branch, only she and Wang Daoyuan knew about this. After the doppelganger Wu Yi accepted the task, he brought all his wealth to the Wu family's equipment refining workshop to buy a soft armor. Naturally, he left all his wealth in the equipment refining workshop. Then, he waited for 4th boss near a small half-demon tribe that he was going to rob. Wang Daoyuan also randomly accepted a mission and left the Shanbei branch, following behind Wu Yi's doppelganger. Although this doppelganger was no longer of much use, and Wu Yi did not have much lifespan left, he still had to retrieve the doppelganger in his sea of consciousness. Wang Daoyuan only had 24 split souls left, and each one he lost was one less. How could he give them up so easily? After the 4th head led a group of red-beard bandits to rob a small tribe, Wu Yi's doppelganger launched a sneak attack. At first, he was suppressing the 4th boss, but after the 4th boss used the mother-child needles, Wu Yi was poisoned and escaped. Wang Daoyuan casually used a few methods to stop the 4th boss from chasing after him. After retrieving the doppelganger in Wu Yi's sea of consciousness, Wang Daoyuan immediately left. Naturally, the matter of discovering Wu Yi's corpse was arranged by Zhou Yuan. Zhou Yuan also pretended to hide the news of Wu Yi's death, and promoted the more reliable subordinates of Wu Yi to be her direct subordinate. The other cultivators did not make a move for the time being, and they did what they were supposed to do. After hiding it for 2 to 3 months, Zhou Yuan purposely revealed a little flaw, and the mystic Martin quickly discovered Wu Yi's death. She called Wang Daoyuan and the other 2 to her cave abode to discuss this matter. Wang Daoyuan also took the opportunity to reveal that he had an opportunity to break through to the Violet Palace realm in preparation to exchange for the Yin-Yang Purple Jade. After arriving at the mystic Martin's cave abode, he asked, "Deputy Hall Master, recently, I've been feeling as if there's a door in front of me. The door is still ajar, and there's purple light behind it. I really want to go in, but I can't move." Jackdaw and Mou had both seen the experience of establishing the Violet Palace realm, so they naturally knew that this was the opportunity to establish the Violet Palace realm. The mystic Martin didn't dare to believe it, so she asked Wang Daoyuan about it. Wang Daoyuan was a Violet Palace realm cultivator, so it wasn't a problem for him to trick her. The mystic Martin was overjoyed when she believed that Wang Daoyuan really had an opportunity to establish the Violet Palace realm. After being sent to this godforsaken place for over 100 years, she finally had a chance to leave. She smiled and said, "Today is really a double blessing. That bitch Scarlet Fox's right-hand man is dead, and you have an opportunity to establish the Violet Palace realm. Oh right, do you have enough contribution points and spirit stones?" Wang Daoyuan nodded and said, "My cultivation has long reached the peak of foundation establishment. I've been carrying out many missions in the past few years, so I haven't used up any spirit stones or contribution points. Now, I have over 400,000 contribution points and 700,000 spirit stones. It's more than enough to exchange for the yin-yang purple jade." The mystic Martin nodded and said, "Since you have enough, then let's prepare to exchange for the yin-yang purple jade. Now that Wu Yi is dead, that bitch Scarlet Fox only has Lu Zong as her steward, so she's weak. Let's go to the conference hall and ask that bitch to exchange for the yin-yang purple jade." The three of them followed the mystic Martin to the conference hall and sent someone to invite Scarlet Fox. Not long after, Zhou brought Lu Zong into the conference hall and sat on the main seat. She asked, "Vice Hall Master, why did you invite me here?" The mystic Martin didn't mention Wu Yi and answered, "Hall Master, Minghu has already sensed the opportunity to establish the Violet Palace realm. If you want to exchange for the yin-yang purple jade, please take out the yin-yang purple jade." Zhou snorted and said, "The yin-yang purple jade is managed by the Hall Master. It's up to the Hall Master to decide who can exchange for it." "Why, is the Vice Hall Master trying to seize power?" The mystic Martin smiled and said, "The yin-yang purple jade is indeed managed by the Hall Master. It's also up to the Hall Master to decide who to give it to. But don't forget, there's still a headquarters above the Shanbei branch. According to Blood Shadow's rules, the Vice Hall Master has the right to stop all the Hall Master's decisions. If the Vice Hall Master and the Hall Master can't reach an agreement, they have to report it to the headquarters. The Hall Master can only make a decision when the branch is in danger of life and death. The yin-yang purple jade isn't related to the branch's life and death, right? If the Hall Master insists, then I can only use the Vice Hall Master's power. I'm afraid all your decisions will have to be reported to the headquarters in the future. I just don't know if your decision will be approved when it's reported to the headquarters." Zhou was furious. She slammed the table and stood up, "So you're saying that you're here to force me to abdicate?" After saying that, she gave Lu Zong a look, hinting for him to speak. Lu Zong usually pretended to be a man of few words, but now he didn't say a word. Wang Daoyuan mocked, "It seems that Steward Lu doesn't like to talk much, but Steward Wu is eloquent. I wonder why he didn't come today." Zhou said coldly, "It seems that you already know about Wu Yi. Don't think that you can do whatever you want because Wu Yi isn't here. If you really piss me off, dealing with you is just a matter of waving my hand." Black Martin smiled and said, "It's true that the Hall Master's strength is outstanding. Back then, you were second only to those proud sons of heaven in the Blood Wolf. I'm a person with average aptitude, so I naturally don't dare to compare with you. If you want to kill me, I have no ability to resist. It's just that I'm from the headquarters. Once I die, the headquarters will immediately get the news. At that time, the Hall Master will probably be hunted down endlessly by the Blood Wolf. This time, it's fine if you let Minghu exchange for the yin-yang purple jade. If you don't, I'll report it to the headquarters and sue you for abusing your power for personal gain and being jealous of ability. At that time, I'm afraid you won't be able to keep your position as the Hall Master." Zhou was so angry that her whole body was trembling, and her upper body was heaving up and down violently. Wang Daoyuan immediately looked away, lest he lose control. After dozens of breaths, Zhou calmed down and said, "It's fine to let Ming Hu exchange for the yin-yang purple jade, but I have a request." Chapter 378. Wang Daoyuan praised in his heart that Zhou ability to control her emotions was really strong. At this moment, she could hold back her laughter and even pretend to be angry. The mystic sable couldn't hide the pride in its tone. "If you have any conditions, just say them. As long as you don't force me, even if Ming Hu can't complete them, I'll still help him complete them." Zhou tried hard to control her emotions. She said, "If you don't have the ability to kill the fourth leader of the Red-Beard bandits, giving you the yin-yang purple jade would be a waste. Our spy reported that in 10 days, the Red-Beard bandits will rob the market square of the Valley of Gongquan, which is more than 8,000 li west of Guiyan Market Square. Only by carrying his head will you be qualified to exchange it for the yin-yang purple jade." Wang Daoyuan said disdainfully, "And here I thought it would be a difficult task. It's just to kill a trash who only knows how to scheme. I'm not that idiot Wu Yi who can't even kill this kind of thing." Zhou roared angrily, "Scram!" The mystic sable didn't dare to continue mocking her and left the meeting hall with the three of them. After Wang Daoyuan left the meeting hall, he bid farewell to the mystic sable and headed towards the Valley of Gongquan. The Valley of Gongquan was located at the northern foot of Mount Huiyan. It was a valley with a radius of more than 100 li. There were 5 or 6 small foundation-building clans and 2 or 3 half-demon tribes around it. The northern part of the mountain wasn't peaceful. If they wanted to do business in Guiyan Market Square, the journey of several thousand li was too dangerous. Moreover, there was no water transportation, so it was inconvenient to transport large quantities of goods. Therefore, these foundation-building clans and half-demon tribes built a small market square in the Valley of Gongquan. This market square was still dominated by humans. To avoid a large number of human casualties, Wang Daoyuan decided to settle the matter before the Red-Beard bandits entered the Valley of Gongquan. The humans in the northern part of the mountain had a hard time. He didn't have the time to take care of them. However, under the condition that he didn't delay the matter, he would help if he could. Wang Daoyuan arrived at a tall mountain about 500 li southeast of the Valley of Gongquan and waited for the Red-Beard bandits to pass by. 10 days later, a flying boat about 10 zhang long flew over from the southeast. On the bow of the boat was the symbol of the Red-Beard bandits. Wang Daoyuan executed heaven-cleaving sword and muttered, "These Red-Beard pirates are really smart, they even have a flying boat. If they were allowed to continue growing, wouldn't they be playing with flying warships? It's a pity that these bastards only dare to bully the weaker forces. They don't dare to rashly attack the demon race." When the flying boat got closer, a giant sword shadow that was hundreds of meters long instantly took shape and slashed at the flying boat. Although the speed of the flying boat was not slow, in the face of the sudden attack of the huge sword, it was unable to dodge and was directly split into 2. In addition to the fourth master who escaped from the flying boat, nearly 100 chi refining cultivators who were not killed by the giant sword also fell to the ground and died. The fourth head fled into the air and shouted angrily, "Who dares to attack my Red-Beard bandits?" Wang Daoyuan was too lazy to pay attention to him. Not even 1/3 of the power of the giant sword shadow had been consumed. He continued to wave the giant sword and attack the fourth leader. After establishing his violet palace, his strength had greatly increased, and the speed at which he wielded his huge sword had become extremely fast. The reason why he was able to escape from the flying boat previously was mainly because Wang Daoyuan's goal was to destroy the flying boat. Moreover, he was afraid that he would be chopped into pieces and it would not be easy to report back with his head. Seeing the giant sword shadow slashing at him, the fourth head knew that dodging would not last long. He had to counterattack. He took out a black gourd, and 9 3-inch-long black needles flew out from the mouth of the gourd. Wang Daoyuan threw 9 tiger claw blades at the black needles. Back when he killed the 2 golden-striped tigers, he used the tiger claws to refine Dharma artifacts. He had not used them for so many years. The tiger claw blades were only second-grade Dharma artifacts, and their quality was inferior to the black needles. However, the quality of Dharma artifacts was not only dependent on their quality, but also on who was using them. The 9 tiger claw blades directly sent the needles flying without any damage. The needles were damaged and could not be used for a short period of time. The 4th head put away the flying needles and could only rely on his sword to escape. How could such a mediocre 9th-level foundation establishment cultivator escape from Wang Daoyuan? Soon, he was caught up and beheaded in a single strike. Wang Daoyuan kept the 4th head and the weapon-nurturing gourd, returning to Wild Goose Market on his sword. After returning to the underground branch, he reported to the mystic Martin. Thereafter, the mystic Martin brought 3 stewards to the meeting hall. Wang Daoyuan took out the 4th head's head and smiled. "Hall master, this should be enough to exchange for the yin-yang purple jade, right?" Zhou Wan said emotionlessly, "Wait at the Green Wolf's place. I'll be there soon." The group arrived at the Green Wolf's cave abode. After waiting for half a cup of tea's time, Zhou Wan arrived as well. She took out a storage bag and handed it to the mystic Martin. "Vice Hall Master, check it too. If there's no problem, hand over the spirit stones and contribution points." The mystic Martin took the storage bag and opened it to take a look. She then handed it to Wang Daoyuan and nodded. "There's no problem with the items." Wang Daoyuan took the storage bag and hung it on his waist. He then took out 6,000 mid-grade spiritual stones and handed it over to the Green Wolf along with his identity token. He should have received 100,000 spiritual stones and contribution points for killing the 4th head. Now, he only needed to hand over 600,000 spiritual stones and 250,000 contribution points. After the Green Wolf was done, Wang Daoyuan followed the mystic Martin back to her cave abode. The mystic Martin took out a storage bag and handed it to Wang Daoyuan. "This contains the insights I had when I was establishing my Violet Palace. Take a look at it before you establish your Violet Palace. It should be helpful. There are also life-saving items inside that might be useful to you. There's too much of a commotion when establishing your Violet Palace. If you stay here, I'm afraid that the branch will be exposed. It's best to find a safe place outside. Do you have a suitable place to establish your Violet Palace?" Wang Daoyuan replied, "When I was traveling in the early years, I found a cave abode in the sky/mountain range. As long as I set up an array disk, I can use it to resist demonic beasts for a period of time." The mystic Martin nodded. "Since you have a suitable place, then I won't interfere in this matter. Do you need me to stand guard?" Wang Daoyuan shook his head. "There are very few foundation establishment cultivators that can threaten me. I'm only afraid that the hall master will kill me. As long as you can stall her, I'll sneak out. There won't be any problems." The mystic Martin pondered for a moment and nodded. "All right. Be careful. I'll stay at the headquarters and keep an eye on that bitch." Wang Daoyuan bade farewell to the mystic Martin and left the branch. He would roam around the sky/mountain range for a few months and return as a Violet Palace realm cultivator. Along the way, he couldn't stay idle for a few months. He could also search for some insights to enrich the spiritual items in the spiritual pearl. Within the spiritual pearl, he had already harvested a batch of spiritual herbs to refine the Meridian Shielding Pill and Violet Rhyme Pill. The second-generation Blood Dragon Wood had also become a third-grade spiritual wood and could be used to make talisman paper. After settling the matter in Shanbei, he could return to his clan and improve his alchemy and talisman crafting skills. The Jade Dragon algae that he transplanted in the spiritual pearl didn't live well. Even if he watered them frequently with the drought rain talisman and had the spiritual fire of life, only the first-grade jade dragon algae seedling survived. He didn't know how long it would take for them to grow to the second or third grade. The original second and third grade jade dragon algae didn't survive. His clone threw the dead jade dragon algae into the fish pond and only created 2 second-grade high-grade clear river carps and 5 second-grade middle-grade clear river carps. Wang Daoyuan walked along the periphery of the sky/mountain range and headed north. Not long after, he arrived near the Blood Wolf Mountain. After the bloodthirsty Ash Wolf pack of the Blood Wolf Mountain contacted the other wolf packs, the other wolf kings also sent out wolf demons to support the Blood Wolf Mountain. The White Fox and Silver Fox half-demon tribes also roped in some other half-demons. Now, both sides didn't dare to make a move easily and only confronted each other in the area of the Blood Wolf Mountain. Wang Daoyuan was very satisfied with the state of both parties. They fought but didn't break and maintained a hostile state. As the mastermind behind the scenes, he had more room to operate. He didn't dare to get too close to the Blood Wolf Mountain and didn't continue to explore north. Instead, he turned east and went deep into the sky/mountain range. Chapter 379. When Zifu disciples entered the Heaven Chopper mountain range, unless they released their auras to offend the monstrous beasts or engaged in battle, the monstrous beasts would turn a blind eye. After all, once a demonic beast reached the 3rd rank, its intelligence would be high enough. Fighting with others meant that there was a high chance of injury, and if the injury was serious, they might not be able to keep their territory. Therefore, as long as one did not trespass on the territory of a rank 3 demonic beast and did not let it feel threatened, they would not take the initiative to attack. At most, they would roar out a warning. Wang Daoyuan tried his best to avoid rank 3 spirit veins within the heavenly/mountain range. As a result, the harvest wasn't that great. He didn't find any good spiritual items. There were only a few Tier 2 spirit herbs and a Tier 2 upper-grade vine, the bone-binding vine. The bone-binding vine was suitable for the growth of wood attribute spells. Its texture was extremely tough, and it was difficult for rank 2 demonic beasts to break free from it. Once it entangled a person or a demonic beast, it would not rest until one of them was dead. This thing was of little value to Wang Daoyuan, but planted at the edge of the Fallen Dragon Ridge formation, the effect of defending against rank 2 monsters was still very good. After roaming the Heaven Chopper Mountains for 3 months, it was time for him to return as a Zifu disciple. Among the things that the mystic Sable had prepared for him, there was a 3rd-grade lower-grade earth escape talisman and a cloak mixed with spirit-forbidding silk. He was quite thoughtful. Cultivators who had just established their Violet Palace realm weren't able to properly restrain their aura. With the soulbind silk cloak, he was able to conceal himself quite well, so as to avoid being noticed by Zifu disciples. He left the sky/mountain range and returned to the underground branch. Arriving at the mystic Sable's abode, he revealed his Zifu realm spirit energy undulations. The mystic Sable was overjoyed at the unexpected good news. I finally have someone who can open up the Zifu realm. Now that Scarlet Fox, that bitch, has been suppressed as well, I can apply to be transferred back to the headquarters from Elder Su. I will immediately send a letter to the headquarters and apply for a transfer back to the headquarters. I will also apply for the position of Deputy Hall Master for you. By the way, do you have any other requests? After the headquarters agreed, they would send the Vice Hall Master's identity token, proof, and other items. The branch here doesn't have any grade 3 phase. If you need anything, you can get the person who delivered the token to bring it over. Wang Daoyuan learned from Mou's memories that Blood Shadow's headquarters was also at the edge of the southern wasteland. Moreover, it was already within the southern wasteland. However, unlike the Divine Weapon Pavilion, which was located in the south of Beiyuan Xiaofan, the Blood Shadow headquarters was located in the southeast, close to the sky/mountain range. Because the southern desolation was close to the absolute heaven abyss, the spiritual energy was extremely violent. It was completely unsuitable for ordinary cultivators and demons to survive. The demon beasts that lived there were subjected to the impact of the violent spirit qi all year round. They had evolved into ferocious beasts with low intelligence but extremely powerful physical bodies and innate magical abilities. The headquarters of Blood Shadow had a level 5 formation that had been passed down since ancient times. It could turn the violent spirit qi into normal spirit qi, allowing the members of Blood Shadow to live normally in the southern wasteland. The concentration of spiritual qi in the southern wasteland was actually relatively high. If it wasn't for the fact that it was too violent, it would definitely be a holy land for cultivation. With the protection of the violent spiritual power of the southern wasteland, even if the other forces knew the location of the Blood Shadow headquarters, they would not dare to act rashly. However, the headquarters of Blood Shadow was hundreds of thousands of miles away from the Shanbei branch. The communication Jade Talisman was unable to transmit messages over such a long distance. Every branch of the Blood Shadow had set up a communication formation. The message from the Shanbei branch had to pass through the communication array of many branches before it could reach the headquarters. Blood Shadow also knew how to keep secrets. Only the headquarters could read the specific content of the message sent by the communication array. Wang Daoyuan replied, "I need materials to refine a natal magic weapon, as well as level 3 magical arts. I had killed a disciple of the Guiyuan sword sect a few years ago and obtained the incomplete inheritance of the Guiyuan sword sect through soul searching. I can be considered half a sword cultivator. These things are naturally useful in the foundation establishment stage, but they are not enough once you reach the Violet Palace stage." The Black Marten nodded and said, "The Guiyuan sword codex was already in the hands of the headquarters a few hundred years ago. A trash Violet Palace inheritance is not a big deal. What kind of natal magic weapon do you plan to refine, and what materials do you need?" Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "I have the method to refine the Tai Tiger sword. The other materials are easy to find, but I really have no way to refine the Tai gold essence." The Tai Tiger sword could not be considered a brilliant natal magic weapon, but its attack power was extremely strong. The material of the Tai Tiger sword was similar to the White Tiger blade. In order to fool others, Wang Daoyuan converted all the spiritual energy in his body into the metal element and disguised himself as a metal element cultivator. It was reasonable for him to refine the Tai Tiger sword. Hearing that Wang Daoyuan wanted the Tai gold essence, the Black Marten was a little surprised. "With your talent, there will be a Violet Palace phenomenon when you establish your Violet Palace." "What is your Violet Palace phenomenon?" Wang Daoyuan said proudly, "I really can't hide it from you. My Violet Palace phenomenon is the golden-eyed Jade Tiger." The golden-eyed Jade Tiger possessed the bloodline of the divine beast, the White Tiger. Its relationship with the White Tiger was similar to the relationship between a flood dragon and a true dragon. With the golden-eyed Jade Tiger phenomenon, it was more suitable for him to use the Tai Tiger sword as his natal magic weapon. The Black Marten pondered for a moment and said, "The golden-eyed Jade Tiger phenomenon has a high chance of forming the golden core. If you cultivate well, you might be able to enter the headquarters in the future and become a golden core cultivator." The Tai gold essence is also an extremely precious spiritual item in the headquarters, and it's not easy to take it out. However, a cultivator with the golden-eyed Jade Tiger phenomenon is worth far more than a third-grade Tai gold essence. I can inform Elder Su of your value when I send the message. Elder Su has a heart of love for talents. As long as you work for Elder Su, a piece of Tai gold essence won't be a problem. Wang Daoyuan immediately bowed. "I don't know Elder Su. I only know that it was the Vice Hall Master who gave me the opportunity to establish my Violet Palace." The Black Marten nodded in satisfaction. "It's good that you can think of it this way. If you nurture another Violet Palace realm cultivator in the future, I will help you return to the headquarters. With your talent, you will definitely shine brightly at the headquarters. The Black Marten was flattered by Wang Daoyuan. He dared to boast about promoting him even before he returned to the headquarters. However, nurturing a Violet Palace Realm cultivator was also a great contribution to the branch's Hall Master and Vice Hall Master. Especially a Violet Palace Realm cultivator with the potential to form the Golden Core. The Hall Master and Vice Hall Master would be rewarded greatly. With Elder Su suppressing the headquarters, Zhou Wan naturally wouldn't be able to get the credit. At that time, wouldn't all the benefits fall into the Black Marten's hands? With this contribution, the years of hard work dealing with Zhou Wan, and Elder Su's activities, it wouldn't be difficult for him to enter the middle management of the headquarters. Wang Daoyuan naturally thanked him profusely and praised the Black Marten to the sky. After chatting for a while, the Black Marten went to the branch's communication array and reported the situation to the headquarters. Wang Daoyuan returned to his cave and controlled his clone, Lu Zong, to go to Zhou Wan's cave to inquire about the situation. After Lu Zong entered Zhou Wan's cave, he found her drinking wine and laughing foolishly from time to time. Lu Zong coughed lightly. "Hall Master, why are you so happy?" Zhou Wan smiled and replied, "Isn't it because the plan is about to succeed? That bitch, the Black Marten, is really stupid. She was fooled and thought that she had already subdued me." Lu Zong sat beside the stone table and said, "Can you be a little more mature? As a Midzifu realm cultivator who possesses the phenomenon of a divine beast, is it worth being so happy to be fooled by an idiot?" Zhou Wan glanced at him and said, "Why do you care? On the other hand, you run to the Black Marten's cave every 2 to 3 days. Do you have any ulterior motives? If I didn't know that bitch, the Black Marten, had always wanted to marry my defeated opponent, I would really suspect that the two of you are having an affair." Wang Daoyuan smiled. "Why, are you jealous?" Zhou Wan picked up a spiritual fruit and threw it at Lu Zong. "Nothing good comes out of a dog's mouth. What business do you have with me?" Lu Zong dodged the spiritual fruit and smiled. "I have something to ask the Hall Master. The Vice Hall Master's token has been issued. If I accept it, will the headquarters know my identity through the token and monitor my whereabouts?" Chapter 380. Zhou Wan took a sip of wine and replied, "It's impossible for them to know your identity directly. As for monitoring your whereabouts, they do have a secret technique that can sense the location of the medallion. However, the northern part of the mountain is too far away from the headquarters. It's already out of their detection range. As long as you don't run to the southern wasteland, they won't be able to find you. Moreover, their detection technique can only sense the approximate location. It's not a big deal. If you really want to travel to the southern wasteland, you just have to put the medallion somewhere else." Hearing this, Wang Daoyuan relaxed. "I was afraid that the Blood Shadow sect would have some kind of secret technique. After the medallion recognizes me as its master, they would have some kind of method to find out my identity or monitor my whereabouts. If they really have this ability, I'll capture a Zifu realm cultivator and control him to make the medallion recognize me as its master. Since they don't have such a secret technique, then forget it." In the next few months, Wang Daoyuan stayed in the cave and cultivated, pretending to consolidate his cultivation. However, he didn't relax his attention to the outside world. His clone, Lu Zong, would go to Zhou Wan's cave every few days to ask about the recent happenings. In the past few months, the overall situation was rather stable. At the Blood Wolf Mountain, the demons and half-demons didn't even fight on a small scale. Baiying also didn't dare to bring the wolf bone to the Wu clan's equipment forging workshop to ask Bai Sheng to forge equipment for her. However, the Red-Beard bandits were more active recently. A 9th-level Foundation establishment 4th Master and more than 100 small fries were all killed by Wang Daoyuan. They didn't know who did it. They only knew that the flying boat was cut in half by the sky-severing sword and the fourth master was beheaded by the sky-severing sword. There were many cultivators who knew how to use the sky-severing sword, but only the direct disciples of the Beiyuan sword sect could have such power. In the past few months, the Red-Beard bandits frequently attacked the Beiyuan sword sect's businesses. They had flying boats to travel, so normal Foundation establishment cultivators couldn't catch up to them. On the surface, the Beiyuan sword sect only had 2 Zifu realm cultivators, so it was difficult for them to take care of all their businesses. Currently, the Beiyuan sword sect had suffered heavy losses, and the Red-Beard bandits had gained a lot. Blood Shadow's headquarters had sent someone to inform them of their arrangements for Wang Daoyuan, as well as some things. The Black Marten sent someone to invite Wang Daoyuan to her Immortal's cave, but he did not see anyone who came to deliver anything. The Black Sable passed a storage pouch to him and said, "This is your Vice Hall Master token and the Beiyuan Sword Codex. Elder Su has agreed to transfer me back to the headquarters. From now on, you will be the Deputy Hall Chief of the Shanbei branch." Wang Daoyuan took the storage bag and opened it. There was a jade token inside. He took out the token and saw that the words Blood Shadow were written on one side of the token. The words on the other side were also very complicated, like patterns rather than words. This was an ancient language. Wang Daoyuan had learned some of it after joining Blood Shadow. Naturally, he recognized the words on the token. It was Deputy Hall Master of the Shanbei branch, Ming Hu. In addition to the token, there was also a beast skin book. However, this book was relatively thin and only had a few pages. The words Beiyuan Sword Codex were written on the book cover. It should be the core inheritance of the Beiyuan sword sect. However, there was no Great Unity Essence gold in the storage bag. Wang Daoyuan was a little disappointed. He asked the Black Marten, "May I ask Vice Hall Master if this Great Unity Essence gold cannot be exchanged?" The Black Marten answered, "Of course, it can be exchanged. However, the steward does not have the authority to exchange for Tier 3 phase. Even the Vice Hall Masters and Hall Masters have restrictions when exchanging for Tier 3 phase. I have already exchanged for plenty of Tier 3 phase, and I will not be able to do so for the time being. You will need to officially become the Vice Hall Master before applying to the headquarters. Elder Su has already agreed to exchange for Tier 3 Great Unity Essence Gold. As long as you apply in the name of the Vice Hall Master, the headquarters will naturally approve. By then, someone will send the Great Unity Essence Gold to you. There is no need to send the Tier 3 Great Unity Essence Gold from the headquarters. The Three River Branch already has some. The Three River Branch is the head of all the branches in the Kingdom of Zhao, and there are plenty of Tier 3 phase there. Our Shanbei branch might not be under the direct jurisdiction of the Three River Branch, but we still need to rely on them to transfer some items. Once the headquarters approves, someone will send it to you in a few days." After hearing this, Wang Daoyuan felt relieved. The Black Marten smiled and said, "Vice Hall Master, you better hurry up and get this token recognized. You still need to hand over your duties later. I have been looking forward to returning to the headquarters for over 100 years. Now that my wish has finally come true, let me leave as soon as possible." Wang Daoyuan didn't say anything else and dripped a drop of essence blood on the token. He extended a wisp of divine senses inside and condensed a divine senses imprint. In less than 100 breaths of time, the token recognition was completed. The Black Marten nodded with satisfaction and said, "From now on, you will be the Shanbei branch's Vice Hall Master." Finishing its statement, it handed a thick beast skin book to Wang Daoyuan. "These are the things you need to know. There is an overview of the Shanbei branch, the Vice Hall Master's duties, and the name list of your subordinates. Apart from the duties in this beast skin book, your most important mission is to suppress that B***TCH, Scarlet Fox. Wang Daoyuan took the beast skin book and said, "Don't worry, Vice Hall Master. I will definitely not let Scarlet Fox have an easy time." The Black Marten smiled and said, "You are the Vice Hall Master now. I believe that with your ability, you will definitely be able to suppress Scarlet Fox. When I return to the headquarters, I can't be without my own trusted subordinates. The subordinates I brought from the headquarters probably won't listen to your commands. Rather than staying here to cause trouble, it is better to bring them back to the headquarters. Your ability to recruit subordinates is not bad. You should be able to replenish them quickly. Let Mou continue to stay here. He doesn't have the potential to open up the Violet Palace. Even if he returns to the headquarters, he will only be at the bottom. It is better for him to be a steward here. You were recruited into the Blood Shadow by him. The two of you should have a good relationship. Let him continue to stay under you." Wang Daoyuan was very satisfied with the way the Black Marten dealt with the aftermath. It would be troublesome for the subordinates she brought from the headquarters to stay in the Shanbei branch. Other than the Black Marten, they wouldn't submit to anyone. There were many of them and it was impossible to refine all of them into doppelgangers. If he got rid of them, their families in the headquarters would also find trouble with him. It was better for the Black Marten to bring these troublesome matters back to the headquarters. As for Mou, if he was brought back to the headquarters, Wang Daoyuan was really afraid that someone would notice some clues. It was also good to keep him under him. He couldn't stay in the Shanbei branch for a long time. If he kept him, he could help him to handle some matters. Wang Daoyuan cupped his hands and said, "I will follow your instructions." The Black Marten nodded and said, "I will bring you to see the communication formation. If there is anything, just send a message to the headquarters. Although your innate talent is not bad, you are still slightly inferior to that bitch Scarlet Fox. Her cultivation is higher than yours. Don't go head-to-head with her. If she does anything out of line, just send a message directly to the headquarters. With me and Elder Su around, she won't be able to make any big waves." Soon after, she opened a stone door on the back wall of the cave. Inside was the communication formation. In the middle of the communication formation was a stone round platform with a diameter of about 10 feet. Around it stood 8 pillars with a diameter of about 1 foot. The formation was connected to the spirit vein. There was no need to place spirit stones. Soon after, the Black Marten's spiritual sense probed into the round stone platform. After a few breaths of time, the round platform flickered with a few rays of light. The Black Marten smiled and said, "This communication formation is related to your Deputy Hall Master token. There is another one on Scarlet Fox's side that is related to the Hall Master token. The way to use it is similar to the communication Jade Talisman. You can report to the headquarters about taking over the position of Deputy Hall Master in exchange for the Tai Essence Gold. If there is a reply, your Deputy Hall Master token will be able to receive the message. Usually, you can directly use the token to send a message to the headquarters. The message will be sent to the headquarters through this formation. But in this case, if there is someone on the other side of the formation, they can intercept your message." Chapter 381. Wang Daoyuan nodded, then used a formation to send a message, reporting that he had taken over as Vice Hall Master and had applied for Tai Essence Gold. About 2 hours later, a message came from the headquarters, indicating that they already knew that he had taken over as Vice Hall Master. The Tai Essence Gold would be delivered within 10 days. The Sable smiled. "Alright, there's news from the headquarters. The handover is complete. I should return to the main hall. With Mou and Jackdaw here, you won't have any problems. I'll leave you with 5 of my direct subordinates. They were originally independent cultivators from Shanbei, so they have some ability. I've already packed my things. I'll leave the Vice Hall Master's cave residence to you. You can move in at any time. With that, the sable walked out of the cave residence and left the underground branch with more than 30 foundation establishment cultivators. With the sable gone, it was time for Wang Daoyuan to clean up the mess. The cultivators under the stewards didn't know much about the higher-ups, so there was no need to clean them up. The only ones he had to deal with were Jackdaw and the 5 direct subordinates left behind by the sable. They weren't like the cultivators from the headquarters, who left things like soul lamps. After they were killed, the headquarters would immediately know. If too many of them died, the headquarters would definitely send people to investigate. After the sable left, no one would care about it except for the 5 direct subordinates. He had to get rid of the bigger threats first. The first thing he had to deal with was Jackdaw. He had followed the sable for more than 100 years. There was no way he could be of one mind. Keeping him alive would only ruin his plans. If he killed him, there would be no one to manage his subordinates, which would be very troublesome. He might as well refine him into a clone and keep him to manage his subordinates. After Wang Daoyuan moved into the Vice Hall Master's cave residence, he had Jackdaw and Mou come to see him. As a new official, he had to explain some things to his subordinates. Jackdaw didn't suspect anything. After the two of them entered the cave, Wang Daoyuan closed the door. He walked to Jackdaw's side and patted his shoulder. Jackdaw thought he was going to say something, but Wang Daoyuan suddenly used the soul-splitting blade and hit Jackdaw's forehead. Then he took out a soul-nurturing pendant, took out a soul fragment, and injected it into Jackdaw's sea of consciousness. Afterward, he put Jackdaw back into the soul pearl. With the help of the flow of time in the space, the divided soul could quickly control the avatar. 4 hours later, Jackdaw had complete control over the clone. Wang Daoyuan let him out of the spirit pearl space and let him and Mou leave the cave together. After dealing with the steward, it was even easier to deal with the 5 direct subordinates. These people were all in the middle stage of the foundation establishment stage and were not well versed in the arts of cultivation. They were not of much value, so there was no need to refine them into clones. He assigned them to Jackdaw and Mou and gave them a few dangerous missions. That was about it. 5 days later, the shopkeeper of the Welcoming Immortals Tower sent a message saying that there was a cultivator at the peak of the foundation building realm in the store who wanted to see Vice Hall Master Ming Hu. Wang Daoyuan left the underground branch. Under the guidance of the waiter, he arrived at a small courtyard in the backyard of the Immortals Welcoming Tower. The newcomer was a peak foundation establishment cultivator, dressed in the attire of a rogue cultivator. Seeing Wang Daoyuan come in, the man asked, "May I ask if you are the deputy hall master of the Shanbei branch, Senior Ming Hu?" Wang Daoyuan took out his token and said, "I am Ming Hu." The man took out a foot-long stone box from his storage bag and bowed. "I am here on the orders of the Tri-River Branch's Hall Master to deliver something to Vice Hall Master Ming Hu. The Hall Master gave this to me and didn't open it on the way. Please verify its authenticity, Vice Hall Master. However, there is a restriction on this box, and I don't have the means to open it." The Hall Master said that you will naturally know how to open it after receiving it. Wang Daoyuan condensed spiritual energy in his hand and slapped the stone box. The stone box was only a high-grade Tier 2 magic artifact and was not strong enough. Although his palm didn't break the stone box, all the restrictions were destroyed. Inside was Tai pure gold, which was said to be the hardest material of its grade. Even a Tier 3 magic artifact would find it difficult to damage it. Wang Daoyuan's palm would not cause any damage to it. After the restrictions were destroyed, the box naturally opened. When the lid was lifted, a wave of killing intent rushed out. Wang Daoyuan was a dignified Zifu realm cultivator, but he felt a slight sting on his face. The Peak Foundation establishment cultivator who delivered the item took a few steps back. After the killing intent disappeared, there was an irregular spherical metal material with a diameter of about 5 inches. This metal was dazzling silver-white and looked exactly the same as the legendary Tai pure gold. He wrapped his hand with gold spiritual energy and took the Tai pure gold out of the box. He weighed it and found that it weighed more than 15 kilograms. Blood Shadow was really generous. He used the golden saber technique and slashed the Tai pure gold, but it did not leave any marks on it. This was definitely Tai pure gold. Wang Daoyuan put it into the stone box and smiled. There is no problem with the item. Thank you for making this trip. After saying that, he used the Vice Hall Master token to send a message to the headquarters, telling them that he had received the Tai pure gold. After a few breaths, the headquarters replied that 150,000 contribution points would be deducted. This price was a little too cheap. Generally speaking, a piece of primordial essence gold that weighed more than 15 kilograms should be worth at least 300,000 spirit stones. It seemed that Elder Su valued him very much and directly gave him a half-price discount. Unfortunately, he was going to disappoint him. Speaking of which, Zhou Wan had always said that the Black Martin was an idiot. She was not wrong. It was fine that she was fooled by him this time, but she did not expect that he had refined her most trusted MOU into a clone. He had just become the Vice Hall Master, and Elder Su was already so generous. Previously, the Black Martin had been here for more than 100 years. How many resources had Elder Su invested in her? With so many resources, not only did he not kill Zhou Wan, but his cultivation also did not catch up. The resources that Elder Su had invested for more than 100 years were all fed to dogs. After the headquarters replied, the cultivator who delivered the item left and returned to the Three River branch. Wang Daoyuan also brought the Tai pure gold back to the underground branch. Refining the white tiger blade only required about 10 kilograms of Tai pure gold. There were still more than 20 kilograms of Tai pure gold left, and he could keep it well. In the future, if he wanted to refine metal attribute magic weapons, he only needed to add a little Tai pure gold to greatly increase their strength. One of his main goals of sneaking into the Shanbei branch had been achieved. However, he was not in a hurry to refine the white tiger blade now. Refining the white tiger blade was not as easy as refining the black tortoise shield. The main material of the black tortoise shield was the spirit spring pearl. It was invisible and did not need to be forged. The two materials of the white tiger blade, Tai pure gold and demonic gold, were both famous for their hardness. They needed to be forged into shape before they could be stored in the body. Forging would cause too much of a commotion. He really did not feel at ease if his safety was not guaranteed in the Shanbei branch. It was better to wait until he had settled the matters here and returned to the Jade Spring Peak. 2 months later, with the cooperation of Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan, the 5 direct cultivators left behind by the Black Martin all died in the mission. The cultivators that he had pulled up before were all recruited later and had nothing to do with the Black Martin. The cultivators under Jackdaw and MOU rarely came into direct contact with the Black Martin, so their involvement was not too deep. The Black Martin had already returned to the headquarters. Even if some people were still loyal to the Black Martin, they did not have the ability to contact her, so there was no need to eliminate them for the time being. After cleaning up the Black Martin's forces, he found a few cultivators with decent potential among the cultivators he had recruited and took them in as his direct subordinates. The rest of the manpower was divided between Jackdaw and MOU, the 2 stewards. Wang Daoyuan only treated the Blood Shadow Mountain's northern branch as a channel for him to fish for resources. He did not really want to become a Vice Hall Master here. He had already obtained what he could obtain so far. There was no need to continue staying here. After bidding farewell to Zhou Wan, it was time to return to the clan. Chapter 382. Wang Daoyuan used shadow evasion to leave his cave and headed towards Zhou Wan's cave. It was rather dark in the depths of the branch, making shadow evasion the most suitable. If other cultivators didn't use their spiritual sense, they wouldn't be able to find him easily. After entering Zhou Wan's cave, he found her hugging a wine jar, crying and laughing at the side of the stone table. Wang Daoyuan walked to the stone table and sat down, asking, "What's going on? Now that you've tricked the Black Marten away, you'll be in charge of the Shanbei branch in the future. You should be happy, why are you crying?" Zhou Wan smiled bitterly, "Do you think I've lived for more than 100 years in vain? I opened my Violet Palace when I was 70 years old, and I'm only at the middle stage of the Violet Palace realm now that I'm 230 years old. I've been suppressed by the Black Marten for more than 100 years, and I had to rely on you to trick her away. I've been busy for more than 100 years, but I don't have a single steward under me. Maybe if I wasn't so competitive back then, I wouldn't have reached this stage." Wang Daoyuan smiled, "Are you showing off your cultivation speed? Reaching the middle stage of the Violet Palace realm in 200 years is a golden core seedling in any power. You weren't suppressed by the Black Marten for more than 100 years, but by Elder Su. He's a golden core cultivator, and he's one of the most powerful figures in Blood Shadow. It's normal for a Violet Palace realm cultivator like you to lose to him. When I just took office, Elder Su gave me a discount of more than 100,000 contribution points in exchange for Tai Gold Essence. Think about it, how many resources did he give to the Black Marten in the past 100 years? She has so many resources, and she's been running this place for more than 100 years, but she still can't do anything to you. It's only been 2 months, and we've completely eradicated her influence. If you want to talk about living for nothing, then she's the one who's truly lived for nothing. With your talent and more than 100 years of accumulation, you'll be able to cultivate to the peak of the Violet Palace realm in a few decades. Forming a golden core isn't difficult for you. As for the Black Marten, she can only be a Violet Palace realm cultivator for the rest of her life. She's trying to curry favor with your defeated opponent. Compared to this thing, it's too cheap." Zhou Wan took off his mask, picked up the wine jar and drank a few mouthfuls. He said, "You really know how to talk. My mood is much better now." Wang Daoyuan had never seen Zhou Wan's face before. Looking at her face at this time, he was stunned. A verse from the Book of Songs appeared in his mind: hands soft as silk, skin as creamy as jade, collar like a bamboo, teeth like a gourd, beautiful head with moon-like eyebrows, beautiful smile and beautiful eyes. After a long time, Wang Daoyuan came back to his senses. "Haven't you always been wearing a mask? Why did you suddenly take off your mask?" Zhou Wan didn't take it seriously and said, "If it weren't for this face, I wouldn't have ended up like this. Ever since I left the headquarters, I have never taken off my mask in front of anyone, nor have I met anyone who was worthy of me taking off my mask. What's wrong with you? Your face is red." Wang Daoyuan felt that his face was a little hot and explained, "I'm drunk." Zhou Wan looked at him and smiled but didn't say anything. Wang Daoyuan coughed lightly and said, "I'm here to say goodbye. I've also sent the Black Sable away and I've also obtained the Grand Unity Gold Essence and Yin-Yang Purple Jade that I wanted. I'm going back to the clan to refine the White Tiger Blade. I promised you that I would use the Purple Rhythm Pill to exchange for the Yin-Yang Purple Jade and information. My alchemy skills aren't good enough to refine the Purple Rhythm Pill. I need to improve it." The smile on Zhou Wan's face disappeared. She took out a wine jar from the storage bag at her waist and said, "Drink with me." Wang Daoyuan took the wine jar and drank with Zhou Wan. The two of them drank very slowly and used more than 4 hours to finish the jar of wine. Wang Daoyuan took out a storage bag and handed it to Zhou Wan. He said, "There are 50 jars of spirit peach dew. They're all aged for more than 70 years. Drink them sparingly. I can't refine the Purple Rhythm Pill for the time being. There are also 10 black jade lotus seeds inside. Take it as compensation. Xiaofan took the storage bag and took out a black cloak with golden edges. She handed it to Wang Daoyuan. You often run around outside. This cloak is made of spirit-forbidding silk. It'll be easier for you to escape when you encounter danger. Wang Daoyuan took out a 4-layer spirit-forbidding silk cloak and placed it on the table. He said, this one weighs 5 kilograms and can be used as a quilt. I'll give it to you. Xiaofan said self-deprecatingly, it's my fault. I forgot that you raise spirit-forbidding silkworms. Wang Daoyuan took the cloak from her hand. The gift is light but the thought is heavy. I'll accept this thought. Hearing this, Xiaofan's cheeks flushed red. She was silent for a long time. Wang Daoyuan took out a jade communication talisman and handed it to her. He smiled. This jade communication talisman can send messages within 20,000 kilometers. Jade Spring Peak is only 10,000 kilometers away from here. If you have any information, send me a message. Jackdaw is under my control now. I've given the Vice Hall Master's command medallion to MOU. They'll cooperate with you. With that, Wang Daoyuan walked out of the cave and left the underground branch. He flew straight east. After entering the Heaven/Mountain range, he circled south and returned to Jade Spring Peak. When he arrived at Jade Spring Peak, he discovered that the recliner under the ancient pine in front of the scripture tower was already empty. He probed the ancestral shrine with his spiritual sense and found that Taigong's memorial tablet was already inside. Although he was mentally prepared, he still found it hard to accept that the elder who had watched him grow up had passed away. With a long sigh, he entered the ancestral shrine and lit incense for Taigong. He then went to the family cemetery in the back mountain and kowtowed a few times in front of Taigong's grave. He returned to Taigong's recliner and stood beside it for a long time until his third brother came to console him. Seventh brother, don't be too sad. Before Taigong died, he said that although he couldn't see the glory of our ancestors, he didn't have any regrets. With you and 12th uncle around, it's only a matter of time. When the family produces a golden core cultivator, you can go to his grave and say a word. He'll be able to smile in the underworld. Wang Daoyuan nodded and returned to his cave. The dead were already long gone, and the living should be encouraged. Rather than grieving over Taigong's passing, it was better to fulfill his wish as soon as possible. After returning to his cave, he began to refine the white tiger blade. Tai Essence Gold and Heavenly Demon Gold were both relatively strong. They needed to be calcined with fire before they could be forged. Metal attribute spirit fires were hard to come by, and he currently didn't have any fire attribute spirit fires. He could only use blood dragon charcoal to calcine the two materials. For the white tiger blade, the tiger's body was the hilt, and the tiger's head was the sword drum. The blade was spat out from the tiger's mouth, and the white tiger's two front paws hugged the blade. Both materials were very strong, but the primordial unity essence gold was still superior. Therefore, the main material of the blade was Tai essence gold. The blade had to be entirely made of Tai essence gold. The white tiger carving emphasized more power and required a stronger killing intent. The heavenly demon gold was the main material, and Tai essence gold was the supplementary material. After spending 2 months, all the third-grade blood dragon wood in the space had been cut down. The tree barks were given to Li Qingxuan to make talisman papers. The branches were all used to calcine the Tai essence gold and heavenly demon gold. The huge price was not paid for nothing. The white tiger blade had been completely forged. At this moment, the blade was already emitting a threatening killing intent. However, the weapon pattern had yet to be inscribed, and the killing intent was only from the raw materials. The current white tiger blade was only a sword embryo. He kept the white tiger blade in his dantian, used his spiritual sense to inscribe the weapon pattern, and nurtured it with his spiritual power and true essence. Finally, he kept it in his sea of consciousness, released his Dharma idol, and imitated the white tiger avatar outside his purple mansion. He also infused his understanding and spiritual sense into the white tiger blade. 5 years later, the white tiger blade was completely nurtured. The entire white tiger blade did not look like an artifact at all. There was not even a trace of spiritual power, let alone the sharpness and killing intent of the Tai essence gold and the killing intent of the heavenly demon gold. The brilliance was restrained, and the edge was hidden. This was the true white tiger blade. He infused his metal attribute spiritual power into the white tiger blade. The white tiger carving's eyes emitted a dazzling light, and a monstrous aura shot into the sky. Chapter 383. At that moment, all the clansmen on the mountain felt the power. The mortals felt as if thunder was about to strike, and the chi refinement cultivators felt a pressure. Other than the 12th uncle, the foundation establishment cultivators felt as if they were being stared at by a ferocious beast. As for the 12th uncle and 5th uncle, they felt as if the heavenly tribulation was about to arrive and they would die at any moment. Wang Daoyuan did not expect the white tiger blade to be so powerful, and he immediately stopped injecting spirit energy. The monstrous power disappeared, and the white tiger blade returned to normal. Whether it was during normal times or when it was activated, the murderous aura of the Grand Unity Essence Gold and the Heaven Ferocious Gold could no longer be found on the white tiger blade. The two auras merged perfectly, turning into a monstrous power. The white tiger blade was very successful. At that moment, Wang Xian, who was sitting cross-legged beside the dragonfish corpse, felt the power of the white tiger blade. He opened his eyes, smiled, and continued to feel the charm of the dragonfish. Wang Shui, who was in seclusion in the cave, felt the power of the white tiger blade and fell into deep thought. Wang Daoyuan put the white tiger blade back into his dantian and took out the fire phoenix purple sun furnace to try refining the meridian shield pill. This pill furnace was taken from Zhao Baogua back then, and it was only a second-grade mid-grade pill furnace. Later on, he obtained some second-grade high-grade purple sun copper and used the smelting method to merge the essence into the furnace, causing it to become a second-grade high-grade pill furnace. Now, it was barely enough to refine a third-grade low-grade pill. In fact, with Wang Daoyuan's current spiritual sense cultivation, he could refine pills without a pill furnace, but it would affect the success rate and consume too much of his spiritual sense. It had been 70 to 80 years since his alchemy skills reached second-grade high-grade. However, he did not need to refine higher-grade pills, so he did not specifically improve his alchemy skills. With decades of accumulation and a powerful spiritual sense, refining the meridian shielding pill did not have many twists and turns. After the first failure, he successfully refined 2 meridian shield pills in the second furnace. After refining 10 furnaces, his success rate stabilized at 45%. This level, among the third-tier lower-grade alchemists, could be considered to be above average. He was still a step away from refining the purple rhythm pill. Subsequently, he began to attempt to refine rank 3 spirit talismans. There were ready-made Tier 3 talisman papers in the space, and the Tier 3 Spirit Ink clan also stored quite a few. The Tier 3 talisman brush was bought from the Divine Weapon Pavilion. With the relationship between the Wang clan and Daoist Lei Yen, buying a Tier 3 talisman brush wasn't a problem. When the Tao of talismans reached the 3rd level, it entered a new stage. It could be said that level 1 and 2 talismans were just laying the foundation. At the 3rd level, spirit talismans were divided into different schools. There were 3 main types of sword talismans: sword talismans unique to sword cultivators, soul talismans refined from the souls of demon beasts, and magic talismans that could release high-level spells. These 3 schools each had their own strengths. Among them, the soul talisman could be used multiple times until the spirit energy was exhausted. Talismans required the least amount of materials and were extremely powerful. However, they could only be used once. The sword talisman was the most special. It did not seem like a simple talisman, but more like a special magic tool. Sword talismans could only be made by sword cultivators who had comprehended sword intent. After its power was exhausted, it could be stored in the dantian to be nurtured. Of course, sword talismans required the highest amount of materials and were similar to the materials used to refine magic tools of the same level. It was a pity that Wang Daoyuan did not have the legacy of these three schools of spirit talismans. The legacy of spirit talismans in his hands were only of the most basic type. They were the defensive 5 elements divine armor talisman, the offensive 5 elements divine sword talisman, and the 5 elements escape talisman. Compared to a tier 2 talisman, they were only more powerful. Offensive and escape talismans were meaningless to him. The 5 elements divine armor talisman was still useful. Wang Daoyuan started with the thick earth divine armor talisman and tried to refine a tier 3 talisman. The Tao of talismans had been stuck at tier 2 superior grade for almost 100 years. Needless to say, his foundation was solid. In just a few days, he had raised the success rate of refining an inferior grade tier 3 talisman to 35%. Ninth great-uncle's dying wish was finally fulfilled. Wang Daoyuan brought all the clansmen of the Spirit Talisman Hall to the ancestral grave at the back of the mountain to pay respects to ninth great-uncle. He even burned a few thick earth divine armor talismans and sharp metal divine sword talismans to tell ninth great-uncle that his dying wish had been fulfilled. He refined dozens of spirit talismans and placed them in the clan's treasury. Then, he left Jade Spring Peak and went to Fallen Dragon Ridge to cultivate the White Tiger sword art. Although the White Tiger blade was already extremely powerful, its power was far from being unleashed. After successfully cultivating the White Tiger sword art and comprehending the White Tiger sword intent, he would then use the sword intent to nurture the White Tiger blade. At that time, he would be able to fully unleash the power of the White Tiger blade. After comprehending for a few days in the Jade Pine Mountain Cave, he began to control the White Tiger blade. Previously, he could be considered half a sword cultivator, so it was not a problem for him to learn the basics of the White Tiger sword art. Soon, he would be able to use the White Tiger sword art and control the White Tiger blade to fly. Controlling the flying sword to attack was like cutting tofu. With a slash of the sword, the rock was split into two. The cut surface was extremely smooth and did not even drop a single piece of rock. Comprehending the sword intent was not that simple. It depended on one's comprehension and luck. If one's comprehension was good, the chances of comprehending the sword intent would be higher. However, whether or not one could comprehend it would depend on luck. The White Tiger sword art focused on the sword intent and was light on sword cultivation techniques. There were only some basic attack methods and none of the sword cultivation techniques passed down by the Guiyuan sword sect. Of course, the divine White Tiger was good at attacking. After comprehending the White Tiger sword intent, the power of any sword cultivation technique would be greatly increased. He had also swindled the Guiyuan sword manual from the Blood Shadow headquarters, which recorded the core inheritance of the Guiyuan sword sect. Since he could not cultivate the White Tiger sword intent in a short period of time, he could first cultivate the sword cultivation techniques of the Guiyuan sword sect. The Guiyuan sword intent recorded in the Guiyuan sword manual focused on the return of essence, energy, and spirit. The so-called essence was the qi and blood of the human body, qi was spiritual energy, spirit was divine sense. Guiyuan was to return essence, energy, and spirit to one, and this one was the sword. Essence, energy, and spirit represented everything of a human cultivator. Fusing essence, energy, and spirit into the sword was truly achieving the unity of man and sword. Then, the sword intent would naturally be extremely powerful. However, the Guiyuan sword manual only recorded the ultimate goal of the Guiyuan sword intent. It did not record how to achieve this ultimate goal. This was an empty slogan without any practical meaning. No wonder the Black Martin said that the Gui Yuan sword manual was a trash Purple Palace realm inheritance. It was indeed correct. There was only one big and empty ultimate goal. If a cultivator who cultivated the Gui Yuan sword manual wanted to comprehend the sword intent, he could only use it casually. It was likely that the two Zifu realm cultivators of the Gui Yuan sword sect were half-baked sword cultivators. This Gui Yuan sword manual was more like an incomplete sword cultivation technique. The Gui Yuan wanderer was not a person with great talent or knowledge. Although the Gui Yuan sword intent was big and empty, it was not something that any sword cultivator could comprehend easily. It was likely that the Gui Yuan wanderer had obtained an incomplete inheritance from some senior expert. Since he did not have the ability to perfect it, he made some changes. He retained a big goal, but did not comprehend how to walk down the path. Compared to the playful sword intent, the sword cultivation techniques recorded in the Gui Yuan sword manual were not bad. It was likely that he realized that it was difficult to comprehend the sword intent, so he wanted to use sword cultivation techniques to make up for his lack of strength. Other than the myriad sword manual, heaven-cleaving sword, and black tortoise sword shield that Wang Daoyuan had already cultivated, there were also some other techniques. There were also a few spells, one of which was an extremely advanced sword cultivator spell called Sword Aura Transformation Spell. Looking at the contents of the beast skin technique, this technique condensed the sword aura that was cultivated into a specific shape to increase its power. All sword cultivator dharma spells were formed from sword chi. The sword aura transformation technique was the core of sword cultivation techniques. With this as the foundation, one could create all kinds of sword cultivation techniques. Now, Wang Daoyuan was certain that his judgment was correct. The Gui Yuan wanderer had definitely obtained the inheritance of a senior expert. This sword aura transformation technique was definitely not something that a Zifu realm cultivator could create. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.